Okay. And yep, all good. Recording also good. Thanks everyone. So how was the day? Rest of the day yesterday? Did anyone go and did something remarkable yesterday that you can feel really good? What did you do? Went for shopping or something? Ma'am, what did you do yesterday? Nothing. Rested. Oh yeah, that's right. Your family was leaving, right? And how about you, ma'am? Oh, that's good. How was the experience? Tell us. That's good. Did you take the boat ride to go there? Okay. And how long did it take? That's good. Yeah, I think we are looking forward to that. We went there, but we didn't do that one. Maybe another time. And anyone else? What did you do? Sangam, okay. Interesting experience, huh? Okay. This is first time for you too in Allahabad. That good. Anyone else did anything else? Have a bit of rest, good time. Anyway, that's good. Yeah, I had a bike ride in the morning. I went to cross the bridge, and then I saw some the sadhus there. So I went there down. I mean, it's quite a bit of in the field, not necessarily. I mean, on the sand, it's difficult to ride, but I didn't realize that. But anyway, had a bit of experience, and then came back quickly because I knew that we have to start the class. Anyway, so overall today what we are going to do, and the next onward. So as you know that we covered a lot about the tutorial, at least the discussion what the tutorial will be about, and also the software. That's the key thing today, software. And I'm hoping you have all installed. So before going to the software, I want to share few slides. This is not in your pack, but I will give it to Salini. The Salini can distribute later. What else we'll be doing? So I'll run the software also to show you what it is all about. So this is basically today we'll cover, and tomorrow we'll have a case study. And Shalini, we did together one LCA of wind energy. That will be the case study, and we will take a bit of time so you understand how to do LCA, how to prepare a paper using LCA technology or sort of kind of methodology or tools, and basically that's a really good example of that. So we want to spend quite a bit of time, and then Abhishek, hopefully if he is available, he will talk about his paper both on LCA. So it's a kind of, you will get, that's a coal fired power station with carbon capture. So two contrasting kind of case studies you will be we will be sharing with you. So before we start, anyone has got any question in relation to our subject matter or what you are learning, anything else? Okay. And anyone help me to recap yesterday or so far? We talked about a lot of LCA terms, isn't it? I know now those languages probably you are familiar with. Endpoint, midpoint, indicators, methodology, recipe, eco-invent, boundary. Anyone else, anyone think remarkable LCA terminology which you never heard of? Can anyone tell anything else what I mentioned other than that? What is that? Functional unit, that's right. I mean, that's a key one. Yep. Anything else? Weighting factor, life cycle inventory data. Yes, so at least good that we kind of at least know these terms, and any LCA kind of, if an expert comes to you, you say that we know that. Now, so again that boundary and block flow diagram. So those who are going to do case study, or I know Dr. Akshoy has told you that the instruction and maybe the template will be providing, everything starts with the block flow diagram and boundary. Where it starts, where it finish, what's your functional unit. In this case, our functional unit is a simple shade. Okay. Now, I told you yesterday, I think, so it starts from trees, and actually I don't know, I think if you can see that date, it is 2000 when I was a PhD student, almost nearly even maybe 99, I cannot remember. This is a nursery in Australia. So Australia has got Sydney, Melbourne, near Sydney actually, between Sydney and Melbourne, a place called Tambaramba. So it's Tambaramba is an Aboriginal name. Australia Aboriginal history is 60,000 years continuous unbroken kind of civilization, and still living on. It's remarkable. I think those who doesn't know about Australian indigenous population or Australian Aborigine, I highly recommend you. Fascinating, and I've not visited all of them, at least some of them. Northern Territory, a lot of Aboriginal people live, and 20 years, I think I am living in Australia, I do not know, maybe 24 years or something, 20, at least 20 plus years. I never got chance to go to Northern Territory. You know, Northern Territory is Darwin is the capital, which is the extreme north of Australia. So, I think 2 months before coming here actually, I got an opportunity for a project, and I wholeheartedly take it because I wanted to desperately go for a long time, couldn't get chance due to some reason. So, Northern Territory, I went there, I stayed in the area where a lot of Aboriginal people live, and you know, it's like part of our Aboriginal community. They are a little bit disoriented because you know they are out of land, they can't cope with normal civilized life. So I was sitting and having dinner with sort of a lot of PhD students. The reason I went for that sort of meeting. So one of the PhD students asking me, the lady, that where you are staying, and that's I think Jingili, one of the area. I said I'm staying near in the hotel in that area, and she said it's quite a bit of rough area. So I said, yeah, rough means I can realize in the morning I was walking, going usually wherever I go I try to walk in the morning, and a lot of Aboriginal elders, they usually what they do, they drink a lot and become, obviously that's what she meant, and sometimes they are not aggressive that way. So I was coming back and I saw few elderly people, they were arguing, fighting, and I was a bit scared. I don't know, I just said, uncle, how are you doing, or something in maybe in Bengali, because I was scared a bit, or what is happening to me. And they said, oh, very good, and in thick accent, what time is it, something like that. So I was telling that lady that I told uncle, and she said, it's a good way to get away, that as they will think as if you are one of them. And she said that her husband do the same trick, that her husband when get into that kind of situation, she said, oh, you have brought us so low, you shouldn't do this, and etc., as if that he represents them. And her husband is a white person. So I said, how that is possible that white person can represent as an Aboriginal? But in Australia there are a lot of mixed people, they call it, particularly in Northern Territory. So in any case, that's really good fun. But on the other hand, meeting people and in a different sort of whatever your background is, it's at the end of the day people's feeling are very same. If you respectfully address them, they will reciprocate to you. So it's not necessarily they're aggressive or anything like that. That's what I found. So anyway, so that Northern Territory, Australian Aboriginal, so that's Tambaramba where that nursery is. So that area we have got a lot of sawmills. So if you talk about Australian house, actually one of the LCA probably case study I'll talk about. I think one of the colleague here, what's the professor's name who did lot of LCA papers? I think Professor Dr. Akshoy, sorry, what's that professor name who has done a lot of LCA paper and working in renewable energy? Mechanical engineering, isn't it? I highly recommend you. I saw his papers are very good, and it's all about building LCA, and that's quite relevant because, for example, if you, so like not necessarily I'm talking about big building, this is kind of commercial, large, big building. You are talking about residential, small building, and that's what we did. Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, I think north, south, east, west Perth. So different cities, requirements for heating, cooling, different. So one is that what is the carbon footprint to make a building itself, and then what is the carbon footprint for running it, and what is the best combination, how to optimize a building system to run for long time so that you can less energy intensive, and to do that an LCA is a very good tool again. And one of my, I think at least couple of students I think did looked at LCA of building, and I think that our professor in your MN and IT, he I think applied that concept also, and now we are talking about even residential sort of commercial buildings. So now that, because in Australia we have got 2 million hectare of radiata pine plantation, in New Zealand also. So world's largest plantation as far as I know, in probably I used to say New Zealand, but I think Australia has got similar. So 2 million hectare, lot of land. So what happened during the Second World War in 47, 45, that period of time, isn't it, 45. So Australia experienced a lot of unemployment, and what the government did, they used that people to grow trees, and that's around 1940s, they various land they planted with radiata pine, and this is radiata pine by the way, so pine trees essentially. So that's how our plantation grew. and so after 30 years you can harvest them and then you replant them. So, it is a nice sustainable way of producing timber at very large quantity. And now, because we cannot harvest many native forest, because most of our native forests are conserved. So, it is when I started my career 20 years ago in forest industry or even more than that, we used to, you know that you have got few trees. I saw eucalyptus, you know eucalyptus, right? They are very smooth bark eucalyptus. We call it river red gum trees. In Australia they call it gum trees, and it is again very closely connected with Aboriginal psychology, because Aboriginal they love it, gum trees. They think anything, a lot of songs and literature, anything, if you talk about Australia, gum trees. And Australia is more famous for eucalyptus than anything else. Anywhere in the world you go, you get eucalyptus trees. Actually, that is native to Australia and came from Australia. I do not think India had ever eucalyptus, it came from Australia essentially. And Brazil has got almost 2-3 million hectare of eucalyptus plantation. They have got largest eucalyptus plantation in the world. There are pros and cons, but generally I would say it is not bad, because it grows very quickly and then make a lot of biomass. So that when I started my career, we had lot of eucalyptus forest, obviously natural forest. We used to harvest eucalyptus and we used to dry and make timber. That is our main source, but slowly we realized, Australian government, and there were a lot of also government pressure that we cannot harvest the natural forest. Natural forest, you go and recreation and you enjoy, you keep it for conserved for I guess in perpetuity. So they closed many natural forests. So now, maybe when I started, as I say, maybe 60% wood used to come from natural forest. We used to call regrowth actually. So you cut it, it will grow again, like shal forest, those who are familiar with. Then because we conserved, now maybe 10% even wood does not come from natural forest, mostly plantations. So it's when, as I said, that 60% natural forest, 40% plantation, maybe that time, because those plantation was growing, and slowly we had because that was the vision, and it's a good vision, I would say, and many countries should have that vision, that you slowly depend on your sustainable plantation, you reduce your dependency on natural forest, because natural forest is for conservation. So most of our natural forests are conservation land, national parks, nobody can harvest by law. So if you harvest, is basically penalized, kind of that. So now that natural plantations, it supplies 90% of the timber, kind of. So what you do, you grow trees. So this is probably, I don't know, 4 or 5 years. I have been to many of these beautiful landscape in Australia. I have visited many of those, driven around, and then you can see very nice green, lush kind of vast landscape. So it is probably, I don't know, maybe 13-14 years. So when they get 30 years, you harvest them, then come back, replant them. It's a cycle in perpetuity. So that one, then you harvest. I don't know, have you seen a forest harvester, mechanical harvester? They very fast. This is all taken by myself, and long time ago. I am talking about 20 years ago, maybe 15 years ago at least. So they do this. There is a grapple. They put the log in. There is a chainsaw. Grrr, within a minute, the tree is fallen, delimbing, then chopped into kind of at a certain length, particularly the log section. And there are a lot of tricks to make good quality logs. They call it pruning, because after maybe 10 years, 15 years, you have to take the branch off, otherwise the log will be knots on knots. So in Australia, actually we didn't, when we planted, our logs are a little bit knotty compared to New Zealand. New Zealand did a lot of pruning, very good high quality logs they can produce. But in Australia now it is a standard practice. So when we plant grow 10-15 years, they will prune it, so there is no knotty timber. It's a beautiful planks. So this you can see that logs are harvested there. This is Mount Gambier, it's South Australia, beautiful place. Those are kind of along the coast. We have got this plantation. So we have got 3-4, we call it kind of hub of forest industry or plantations. So we have got a lot of logs, and so that's in again South Australia. So logs are standing like this is log yard near the roadside, and trucks come, and we call it B-double, B-triple, big trucks one after another, and they take those logs in the sawmill, and then you obviously process it. Actually this is a natural forest. This is again, I took 98. Again I say we have got mainland Australia, we have got Tasmania, which is the island. So this is Tasmania we call it, Hobart, near Hobart actually, Huon Valley we call it. So I was a PhD student that time. I just started 1998. I started as a PhD student. That's probably 1999 first conference I attended in Hobart. So they had a tour. It's called a selective felling. So basically you can see some trees are standing, some trees are taken away. This is a natural forest. This is not anymore. This is blocked now. You cannot log here. It is conserved national forest, national kind of park. It's back in kind of situation. They used to harvest this. There is no more, because this is a beautiful part of the country. Tasmania is the best kind of to travel. Then what else we have got? So again those kind of logs, and these are the typical sawmill. So you can see that one, there is a saw here, there is a bench, saw bench, you feed the log and that goes through that one, laser based cutting, someone just operating from a distance, no people working there, and you get logs there. In the planks, they are boards, we call it, maybe sawn boards, they come like that. And once you have that one is stacked like that, this is all automated, and a lot of mechanical engineers work there, by the way. Obviously chemical engineers. This was my PhD, because I spent at least 10 years of my career and my whole research when I was a PhD student. So what I used to do, I used to visit a lot of mills like this. So what they used to do, they call it stacking. So basically the planks are rows, one row of plank, and then small sticks, they call it sticker, and then another row of planks, so that air can flow through. And then this is a kind of large stack to be dried, because timber has to be dried. If you dry timber, it becomes steel. It never, you cannot do it again, you need to do anything. But if you cannot dry, then that's the problem, because it will rot, you know, that's water is the killer for timber, we call it. But you cannot dry it to, it's called equilibrium moisture quantity. You have to dry it to a moisture so that it stays nice. Otherwise, you know, sometimes door gets stuck and things like that, or floor can be warped or uneven, because if you don't dry it properly. And that drying takes, this is a long kiln, and actually because my PhD was on that, to optimize that operation, drying, basically that. And then post PhD work also, I spent 5 years of my career there. And then once it is dried, is stacked like that. This is a beautiful board. This is the eucalyptus board though, but radiata pine, these are radiata pine, it's the same thing. And then you get like packed timber sent to the sites for buildings, yeah, like that. So this is our typical building. So it is called wood, timber framed wooden wall, brick wall, but brick does not take part in any structural kind of component or the load. It's all timber framed housing, and that's typical sort of, my house is exactly like that, upstairs like that and downstairs like that, and you've got floor, furniture. My PhD was that boral timber. I think they have a plant between Sydney and Brisbane, you know, the two Australian cities. They have got many plants, and I think I visited all of them, because I had to optimize their operation. So that then why I am saying this, because you can see that with the life cycle assessment, if you say wood is not wood. Wood comes from all these things, and it's a hundreds of scientists, hundreds of people, just hundreds of engineers behind the scene working on that. And particularly drying process, that is, you use energy, obviously, mainly high pressure, not pressure, low, I mean atmospheric pressure, but high temperature steam. So 200 degree plus for radiata pine. For eucalyptus, generally low temperature below 100 degree, say 70, 60. I did actually, also another component is solar drying, using solar energy to dry timber. So but anyway, so that's the story I am saying, because wooden shed is not wooden shed. Wood comes from so many things, and a lot of people do not realize that. That's again the philosophy of life cycle concept comes into. Now what do you need to do? You need to generate your life cycle assessment model. Hope I couldn't, probably that one, that is a 1P means one number, one simple shed. So that simple shed is the shed is composed of a shed, okay. The shed is composed of planks, and planks, you know, the steel we talked about, transport you need to do, and that's the steel component, and that is giving a lot of impact actually. And chainsawing, you know, fell tree, and then obviously the another one, end of life, the waste, and the waste can go to landfill or open fire. So this is the kind of so you see that concept, the model, right? That's you can generate in CIMAPRO, and that's your job. Your job will be to generate a model like this, and then if you do that one, you learn how to do it, and you can do for your any other case studies, any other example you want to do. Does that so far, is any question, or is it making sense or clear, everyone? So that when we run the software, this is a bit old but does not matter. You see that unit process, can you remember the process type? Actually I do not know, everything you cannot see, it is called tutorial with wood example. When you run the software, you have to open that tutorial wood example project, because that is the tutorial we are talking about. Then you have got created on, etc., those are the names, but this is one of the key one, process type, unit process or system process. I think you know that one, right? Everyone knows. So but anyway, we will see more when we generate that one. Then what we are doing, tree felling, that is our model, tree felling, one unit model, like that there will be many models we will be preparing, but this is one. Status finished, does not matter, you can even put an image wherever your own image, or there are some inbuilt image. When the time period, what are the geography, you know, where it is happening, is it India, is it Australia, is it somewhere else, is it which part of the world. Then technology, what kind of technology, is it average technology, it is old technology, it is new technology, you know that technology are changing. So that has to be, you have to say that one. What is this one, I do not know, resource, I cannot see what is that, but average from a specific process. Essentially what is the data, is it measured, is it coming from a technology, so it is the average for a specific process. Then what is that, multiple output allocation. So again yesterday we talked about that, you know, if you have multiple product you need to specify that. Substitution allocation, not example, cutoff less than 5%, that means we will that concept is sometimes required, because say we have got LCA, you cannot include everything. So you need to, okay, 95% cutoff means we do not care, we care about 95% of the overall process, 5% forget about that, okay, we do not want to spend on that. That is what is the cutoff rule, because if you do not put cutoff one, the model like this model I showed, you cannot see anything, because it will be like very messy. Sometimes we say Tokyo subway, Tokyo subway, I have been there and I know that one exactly how messy, those who been to Japan or thinking or know about Japan, you know that one, that how complex that is. So that is the one is LCA model with the cutoff rule I have implemented. If you do not have cutoff rule, you cannot see anything, we will show that one anyway, you will do yourself also. One other thing, what is that, system boundary, second order, boundary with nature. Anyway, those are the some of the things even I do not know too much really. Infrastructure, no, that is another thing, important one. So sometimes with LCA, what we do, I mean how we example, how I can give the example, okay, say for example nuclear power plant, okay. So in nuclear power plant, how we produce power, we power because of chemical reactions, right. Now if you include no combustion happening, so no CO2, but the nuclear power plant itself has a lot of impact, that is called the infrastructure. So majority of the cases, in that case you need to include infrastructure. So it is a bit of judgment, so you cannot exclude infrastructure, but in this case probably they say no, we do not want to include infrastructure, because we know infrastructure has very limited small impact, you can ignore it. Why it is? Because say a power plant or a set up a plant can live or can be I think the longevity would be many years, say 60 years, 70 years, 100 years, it can produce lot of product. So if you divide the amount of CO2 of the infrastructure divided by amount of product over 60, 70 years, because that is the amount they will be producing, that will be very small. That is why you can exclude infrastructures in some cases. Does that make sense? Clear? So that is infrastructure, no, you can say, or you can include that one, you can say yes, infrastructure included. Date, so looks like a bit of date, record, generator name, what I want, your name, you put that your name, and your job when you do these ones, you take a screenshot, Okay, you take a screenshot, put in a Word document, just dump it one after another, and everyone, I want you this sheet with your name, because at the end of the day I will be collecting that Word document from you one after another, so that will tell you that you have completed the tutorial. Do not rush, go just black and white, follow instruction step by step, take time. That is the only way to learn LCA. So, if you do one way, you can claim that you are competent LCA software user, and you can put in your CV, for example, for jobs and things like that. Okay. So your name, that will be I will be looking for, and this is actually when I teach this course, this is one of the 10%, 15% marks, maybe 15% for the whole unit is just for this one. So, this is just one screenshot, there will be multiple screenshot we need to generate results. So, it is very simple. I said to the students, just do one after one of the screenshot, and finally you tell your experience. What did you learn? What is pros and cons? Is the software good? Is it bad? Or what is your experience basically? What did you learn from it? And then probably maybe a page or a paragraph or whatever. At least so I generally I prefer a little bit elaborate, maybe a page, one page discussion that about the software, about your experience, about your learning, this and that, and then that I basically assess, and that they get full marks generally, because if they, but some people do not give enough time, then they obviously they want. And another thing, you cannot copy each other, that is another thing for the particularly for the university environment I am talking about. So, they can't, they have to do that their only way, that because otherwise you cannot generate that number. And with your demo version you have a limitation, only you can save 16 times, that is it. So, that is why you have to be careful a little bit, but the amount of that required, I do not think it will require more than 10 times, because that the way I will finish it. So, I tell the students you should have enough savings time. So, be careful with that one, do not waste savings, but at the same time you need to generate that one, otherwise they get 0 kind of that per component of the course, and they do need to do some calculations, probably I will show later also what I expect. So, is that clear what I expect? End of this course on Friday, is it Friday I think finishing, I do not know, whatever day, I cannot keep track of my days and name of the day. So, what the finishing day, the last evening, obviously you have to sit for the exam, and you need to give each one, you need to give a Word document, you can make a PDF, does not matter, but all these screenshots one after another, as many screenshots you can take, and finally your experience with CIMA Pro software and whole experience. Is that clear? Okay. So, that's it is more bigger requirements than your exam, I would say, because you will be really well versed with LCA if you do that one, if you follow my instruction. Right. Okay, where I am. Okay, so your name, and then collection method. See, this is important. Taken from literature, does not matter. I mean, you can take from literature, okay, or you can measure. You can generate on your own data. Sometimes we do a lot of experimentation, and that is the job of the scientist, to do experiment, generate data. What is the data treatment, simplification for didactic process, etc. We will talk a little bit about that. Allocation rules not applicable in this case, verification not done, and then comment, what is that, very much whatever way, the assumption of that one. So, you can put some comment also for this is, for example, FSC guidelines, do not use this project. You can say we saw that one yesterday, certification, etc. But that's just a comment for your own purpose, for your own project. So, when you open the software, you will get this kind of thing. So, you have got a explorer window, you have got wizards, forget about that, you can try out, but mainly I will be looking at that that PDF document, I will go back to there where I want to start from and where I want it to finish. So, there what you will do, I think 2.1, I have to remember page number, I forgot that, but anyway, so that somewhere I think page 14 we start and page 61 we finish, that's the, there are lots of other things you can do up to you, but this is the minimum requirements I want. Now, you say the one thing is that you see the libraries, that is one important thing, libraries. If you click that one, it will generate all the databases, you click select all, okay. You can specifically select what you need, but you in this case say you select all, because you do not have in the demo version lot of databases. In my version I will show you there will be so many databases, okay. So, then another thing is methods. Can you remember a name of the method yesterday or last 3-4 days we are discussing? Today's method, what is LCA method? recipe, exactly. So you will see, you need to choose, you need to see those methods are there. If you click one, it will pop up the information there about the method, okay. Same with libraries, if you click what is the version of the database, what is the this and that, they will come. By the way, back in the room, are you following me what I am saying? Clear? Okay. Now the main database issue is the processes, okay. So that is why I clicked here, processes, and within the process, so select step 1, it is said select processes, okay. When you say processes, you will have a materials, you will have energy, you will have transport, that is the database, the heart of the database. So now step 2, so that is the software, say that is the tutorial say we are doing, you select wood, okay, and then click new. If you do that one, it will create an entry for you and to develop a model. And then once you click that one, we are doing fell tree model, you know, you have to say amount, and this is the typical input sheet. So click the gray field to add new lines. So quite simple, but as I said, it's any new software, it's like learning new language. So you might get a little bit this and that, but just follow the prompt one after another and carefully black and white without skipping or jumping one to another without understanding or learning, okay. So that is the whole job, whole project about. So fell tree, so basically you see that one, there are tabs, documentation tab, input output tab, parameters tab, system description. So with the known output to Technosphere product and co-products, actually there are, so that for example the model we are doing, name is the fell tree, amount you can use a unit, it is a drop down menu, you can choose, we are talking about mass allocation 100%, that means only fell tree, no other product, okay. So that is why if you have multiple product, you need to allocate, and you will see that another in this tutorial you will get the opportunity to learn that. So once you do that one, known outputs to Technosphere, known inputs from nature, so that is there are number of items one after another you need to fill out, that is the whole, actually this is the most critical part of doing LCA. If anybody can do that one, rest of them becomes easy, okay. So first one, first model, spend a bit of time, learn it. Once you do that one, rest other models you can generate like replicate quickly and you can do it, okay. Anyone has got so far any question? Everyone is following me, okay, clear? Yes. So in this case mass allocation, mass basis, you can change also, okay. If there is a quantity mass, okay. So but if you have multiple products by mass allocation, you can change that one. We'll talk a little bit more later, maybe once that allocation case comes. So I think what it says before going there. So click the gray field, enter the output amount. So this is your functional unit in this case. Although final functional unit is fell tree, but say if it is LCA we are doing on fell tree is a functional unit. Does that make sense? So and then select unit, simple. Then we go, I think I am sorry that is a little bit difficult to read, but that is not big issue. What you need to do, anything starts with inputs from nature, because you need to get the resource, right. And what natural resources we are getting here, we are getting wood, unspecified, standing wood in kilogram, and you can click, does not matter, forget about these ones too much, because you can spend a lot of time to understand this, but I would say for this moment ignore, you just put unspecified and then select, that is it. So if, and sometimes there will be big list of things, you click W and O, it will pick automatically kind of that. So to go down, or you can drop down menu, there is also, it takes time. So it says click the field to create a new line, double click the that one, and then select wood and then select, okay. So that's we are going one after another. And then by the way, has anyone used CIMAPRO software here? Put your hands up. You have used it, okay. Can you share your experience? How much you have used, or what version you have used, what you have done in CIMAPRO for all of us?
I have used it for my MPhil project actually. I have done a life cycle assessment of alkali activated cement.
And which version was that?
It was a faculty version, I think it's CIMAPRO 8.
8, okay. And what databases you used, all these databases, or how do you manage that your input, and did you generate a model for you and generate result, and what was that?
Few were from the eco-event and others I have taken from various literatures
Okay.
based on what I wanted to do.
Mm.
Based on the materials I was doing the calculation.
Okay.
So I have input those values and figures from the literatures as well as those that were available in eco-event.
What's the major challenges to use CIMA-Pro, or what was the problems you think?
Mainly it was the datas, the authenticity of the data that is required. So that's the main challenge that I faced, because even a single or a what is it, like any doubts in those data would
Will
really
affect your
the
result,
result.
isn't it? That's a
As
good
well
point.
as
Yeah.
the interpretation of results is really very important.
Yeah.
We get a very good result table from CIMA-Pro, but how we interpret it to our result and our analysis is another great challenge that we have.
So you got that point, right? So that okay, thanks, thank you. Please sit. Yeah. And how do you rate your CIMA-Pro? Beginner, intermediate, advanced?
Beginner.
Beginner.
That
Okay.
was what I learned through the basic tutorials that were available online.
Right. Great. Okay. But you just learned from online, right? You didn't go any courses, anything like that, eh? That's good. Well done. Anyway, so you can see that one people can do and learn, and so that's exactly at least one we have got. And if any help also, you can ask. Sorry, what's your name? Ankit. Ankita. Okay, so you can know that one there. Ankita has done some work together, so yeah, hopefully that will be very helpful. By the way, we are online. Okay, is anyone complaining or no? All good. Okay, so you see that one. So that's quite well. As I said, any software is a software. Software is some people say a robot will do everything. It's not, isn't it? It's a human at the end of the day. And I stress, it's a judgment, it's an experience, you need to know what you are doing. Software cannot do, if you put garbage in, they call it, isn't it, GIGO, garbage in, garbage out. So obviously if your input data is bad, wrong, your result doesn't make sense. That's also trash. Yeah. So need to make sure that. Okay, now it's called, so we have got because I'm going down, and obviously you will do that your own. By the way, everyone has got a laptop today? Good, everything, excellent. So you do that one, then emissions to air, emissions to water, emissions to soil, and final waste flow. So okay, that's important, final waste flow. Basically that we saw that one, that we talked about the waste. So that you need to choose wood waste and again select. So waste flow, if you click that one, there will be sort of drop down and basically choose it. Select wood waste and select yes and specify the amount, and these amounts are given in your tutorial sheet. Okay, that's the PDF document I am talking about. You know, 2 PDF documents, you remember, right? One is the introduction to CIMA-Pro with introduction to LCA with CIMA-Pro. It's a broad theoretical guidelines. Other one is tutorial with CIMA-Pro. That's the one I am referring to, tutorial one. Now you see that one fell tree, 1 kilogram, but doesn't matter. And then sensoring, see, he has already put a bit of single score cell and trying to generate the model, so that you can see that, and that's, you see, this is the point, cutoff point we are talking about. That's a 0%. You can change to 5%, because if you put 0%, you cannot see anything. So that's another thing. And you can, this is a kind of navigator window. You can click here, and it will fix for the window sizing, kind of, you can see the model. You can change, slide this side that way to see that one. Okay, clear? Simple. And then you see that the one I showed you, that simple shade, you know, life cycle of a shade. That's what we're doing at the end of the day. So this screenshot you need to generate yourself and dump in that Word document I mentioned. Okay, that's your job. So one simple shade, you know, that planks, you know, that etc. comes out, how that is, all these shown. And that's I showed you, this one is before sewing and going, how this is a CIMA-Pro model, by the way. So anywhere you see, do not get scared, this is the model we will be generating. Now you see, now we are going to calculation, kind of. So once you set up model, done, you are ready to do, you have seen that network, or tree diagram, click network. There are two options, I think one is called tree diagram, forget about that, just network diagram, click one. And some of the things, there will be a bit of anomaly between the instruction sheet in the tutorial and when you do it itself, because but for some of the things if you ignore, does not matter, if it is not matching the right one, you are not getting it, maybe so it might say that choose this electricity, might not be there, just choose any one, does not matter, because at the end of the day we are not after the exact result generation rather than practicing ourselves and learning. So, the method, isn't it method window? Yep, that is highlighted because that is chosen. Method, choose a method, a recipe endpoint, a recipe. So, basically recipe, why recipe? Because I think that initially it was used to be called eco indicator method, and that translated to a method and they named recipe, basically the software company. So, that is why it is called recipe. I do not know, there is a name for that recipe, I am not sure what that stands for, but anyway that came from CML, lots of different methods anyway. So, then you just recipe is the most globally accepted method currently, that is why a lot of people use it. Recipe endpoint, I told you yesterday, egalitarian, hierarchical, individualistic. So, in this case they have used recipe endpoint haze. I would recommend you first do a recipe midpoint haze, generate the number last this one, depending on how it show in your computer, do that one, pick that one, recipe midpoint haze and generate. Okay. Then second one, recipe endpoint haze, these two you generate, but you can do others and compare yourself for your own understanding, no issues, but I want these two for your screenshot, okay, that you have done it. So, and then weighting, normalization, you forget about that, maybe the some of the things you can set as default also that way, and this is the first set of results it will generate. Okay. When you say calculate, it will calculate for you, it will take a bit of time the first time, wait, but otherwise second time it takes faster because it brings all the database what it is required data. And then you can see that climate change, ozone depletion, human toxicity, what is this one, photochemical oxidation maybe, particulate matter, I do not know, ionizing radiation probably, yeah, some of these I cannot read really. So, but anyway, freshwater toxicity looks like terrestrial toxicity, land use, you know, metal depletion, fossil depletion, and by the way we know all of them by this time, at least some of the indicators we discussed yesterday. So, you need to click characterization tab, and then you know here are a few tabs here, you can click, this is the tab is showing the in the kind of graphical form, but you can, if you click this one it will show you in tabular form. Okay. So, in the graphical form what is this showing really, it is what they are doing, they fixed 100 as a percentage. So, the simple shade, it's a between simple shade and waste. So, because at the end of the day the shade is, you know, disposal or some way or other they have got a waste scenario. So, some of this say climate change, okay, which is global warming potential. So, it is 100% coming, nearly 95% coming from simple shade, a little bit from the waste scenario. Okay. Whereas another unit, say if we look say freshwater toxicity, maybe this one, in this case looks like waste is contributing a lot compared to simple shade. So, which indicator, so what is the purpose of this? Purpose of this is that if you know which one is contributing for what indicator, you can give some strategies, some recommendation that okay, this is the, then we have to, if we want to reduce the carbon footprint of the overall product for simple shade, we need to focus on, you know, we need to focus on simple shade construction, not necessarily waste. If we want to reduce the freshwater or marine toxicity or something, we have to focus on better way of minimizing or managing, better way managing the waste after the simple shade end of life use. Does that make sense what I have said? Have I explained okay, do you think? Okay, all right. So, as I said, if you click this one, then it will generate a table like that. So, you see global warming potential, kilogram CO2 equivalent, the total for this simple shade, I do not know what I did, maybe I generated this one for the sake of generation, 29.1 kilogram of CO2, and that came from planks, you can remember steel, you can see passenger car because the things were transported around, you know, you need to get planks from one place to another. You see how many, this is the midpoint, how many indicators it has generated. It is not, so lot of people, that is another thing. It is like iPhone, you know, we have got so many functionalities, isn't it? How much we use? Maybe 10% of that, isn't it? At least I do not use, I use only the weather maybe, where I am, what time, I mean, etc., and obviously phone calls and things like that, maybe some social media, maybe LinkedIn, maybe Facebook, whatever, I think that is it basically. So many things on there. Same with LCA, I would say we use 10% because everybody global warming or carbon footprint. Global warming, carbon footprint, LCA is beyond that. That is a lot of people do not appreciate. You see that so many indicators we can generate. And a product carbon footprint is very small, very low, maybe the other footprint is horrible. So that is the beauty of that, that is thinking about that, and it is generating with an unit and with a number. It is not really lying or making up or anything like that, or Prime Minister says something and another person says something. It is not like that, it is exact number and we can say where they are coming from. So that is a good tool, isn't it? What do you think? That is the strength of LCA. Any comments so far? Anyone? You are with it? Are you getting interested or still a bit bored? Maybe I am not sure. Is it okay? Do you think we will do that anyway? You have to do that yourself. Again, you generate, take the screenshot, put in, dump in the Word document because I need to see your work. Then maybe I have chosen another indicator set, the method, you see this, maybe it is another method, I do not know what, I cannot see that one, I can remember that, but you can see that one, marine ecotoxicity. Oh no, this is endpoint, isn't it? This is so you can see that one, the same data set I used endpoint and midpoint, but endpoint you can see I can give the details, which, remember that 3 areas, can you tell me what those 3 areas are? Human health, ecosystem quality and resource depletion. We have to group them, but you can see that is why the units are very similar. So, all of them DALI unit, human health, global warming, human health, that is a DALI unit, and DALI unit is, you can see the unit different. So, why you can show like that, and I want you to show like that, so you understand that, but you understand that one also. So, you can group them, human health, ecosystem, it is just simple, they added up that all DALIs together, all species are together and all. You can mineral resource scarcity, you can also express in terms of US dollar, and what does that mean? They means today's in dollar term, that is what it is. I told you that you need extra additional energy if you have a not good quality material, that what is reflects here. So, you will be more expensive to take one material. So, essentially that is a resource impact. Does that make sense? So I group them, you know, human health, ecosystem, resources, 3 units, total, where it is coming from, planks, and you can export this data into Excel as an Excel. You can do whatever way, you do not like the CIMA-Pro, I do not like, to be honest, CIMA-Pro way, the graphical form. I generate my own pie chart, column chart, graphical, whatever representation I want, I have the control, okay. And the same way, I think somebody told about that single score, right. So, what you can do, you can click, this is the damage assessment, which is the end point, you can click single score, that is what I have done here, click single score, you see that is why it is highlighted, you see total. So, that is like, you know, we told that yesterday that lot of people do not want to know a lot of numbers, okay. So, what is the impact of a wooden plank, it is 2.9, okay, and then that is out of that 2.54 it is problematic for human health, 0.37 for ecosystem and a small one for resources. Now, where they are coming from again, also we know that one also, the big ones, okay. Small ones probably I ignored that one. Other thing is that why is to know that what does that mean. So, 2.93 is big or small. What sometimes I do, say it is a wooden shed, I prefer what people understand. To do that one I say, okay, wooden shed, is it big, is it small, then we, well, you have to have some number, you can do a LCA for a house for example, and then compare them, or somebody has already done it, compare them, okay, wooden shed is probably 10% of a house. So, that means that you can kind of quantify that way. Other thing is that, say wooden shed, instead of wooden shed I want a steel shed, forget about wood, I do not want to use wood at all, maybe concrete shed, okay. and then you can compare them. So it may be 2.9, the concrete shade might be 10, maybe a steel shade might be 5. So you can compare and you can see that where they are coming from again. So that helps to make a decision what is the construction material should be. As an engineer, we have a role to play, where they come from, and not only that, where the attack or the what we call hot spots are, so that we can reduce the impact. So this is if somebody says, why do you LCA? This is the answer. Why do we LCA? Is that making sense to you? Clear? And then you can generate, you can see that human health ecosystem and where they are coming from, planks and stacked column. This is generated by CIMAPRO, but you can generate your own, export the data and then do that one. So I think that's what I wanted to cover. Obviously that document useful, prepare document with all is, that's the one I said. This is actually that I said when I teach, I tell them read CIMAPRO tutorial PDF document. So that link provided here, or you can, you have given that, Shalini, isn't it? You can download it also, but maybe as I said, they have advanced there is a bit of always I find mismatch between the tutorial document and the version of the software, but it is manageable. At the end of the day, it's like your learning purpose. Prepare a document with all screenshots and your name in the author demonstrating you have completed tutorial. Write a couple of paragraphs about your experience. I don't know, I think this one I always my dream is to make zero emission everything. So I think when I was in England, I did my masters and did some study on wood modification. I told you wood, if you can keep wood out of water, so wood is, what is that called, glucose, isn't it? At the end of the day, photosynthesis, that's why I say it's a foundation of civilization. So you've got, I define wood, it's CO2 and water in the presence of sunlight. That's what it is, because and that's why sun is the our main energy source. So what trees does, it's a simple job, isn't it? But it's very complex and fascinating job. Trees has got what is that, leaves has got chlorophyll, isn't it, green. So sunlight falls in, that prepared food, and how do they prepare it? It's a CO2 from the atmosphere, and then water from through the root system respiration, or what they call, not respiration, what, osmosis, I guess is that, or and also surface tension, because they pull water through the system, isn't it, through the trunk, and then you get food. It's basically sugar, carbohydrate, isn't it? Carbon dioxide, CO2 plus water makes carbohydrate, and that carbohydrate essentially, that's why it's a cellulose, glucose, you name it. I had a lot of time spending on learning those things, but I forgot now. So cellulose, hemicellulose, lignin, and lignin binds them together. There are a lot of hydroxyl groups, OH, those chemistry students, they know very well, and it attracts water. So if you have, that's why wood becomes weight or anything. So if you somehow modify those OH groups, hydroxyl groups, either with say acidic anhydride or something else, wood becomes a steel, it will never rot. So I did a lot of wood modification work that time, and that's why I made up from wood, green steel, and run on bio oil. That time I used to dream, it never being succeeded, but still dream is dream, I guess. So manufacturing anything you do, zero CO2 emission. That's the whole objective. I think globally we are moving to that direction, because you are talking about green hydrogen, green chemical, green urea, green ammonia, everything potentially possible to make. Maybe it's not cost effective as yet, but whether it is actually green, and actually there is a steel plant, I saw those, cut those trees, use biocarbon, make those steel, that's the steel mill in Australia. It's a what they call roll product, isn't it? Hot roll product kind of. And when you convert those trees to biocarbon, charcoal or any carbon, you make some liquid product also. So it's a kind of hypothetically possible, but in reality it's possible, that's a question. Yeah, that's a dream, always a dream, and it will be my dream, and I wish someone fulfills that dream in the future generation. But to know exactly, you need LCA, that whether that is all the way through, does that make sense? What is the carbon footprint, where it is coming from? And as I said, remember, LCA is beyond carbon footprint. It's not only global warming potential, and it's somebody that why do we do LCA? It's not only carbon footprint most people know of, it's on other indicators we need to know. I think that's probably I wanted to share now. Any comments or any questions or any suggestions? Yep, sure.
So, do they consider biogenic carbon dioxide here in the calculation?
No. So there is a calculation, emissions to the air you can put when in the input sheet.
In case of wood and everything, since the harvesting time, it again recaptures the carbon dioxide.
Yeah.
So is that taken into consideration in the calculation?
Yeah, generally biogenic carbon is not considered as a carbon emission. Okay, so that's as long as it is sustainably produced, or if you can show that your product is absorbing CO2 and the amount of CO2 you put in the atmosphere, you cannot, that's a neutral, carbon neutral process. So they don't, so there is a two, you see that fossil carbon, biogenic carbon, if you do look at LCA. So generally we can consider, I think you need to put in the, at the end of the day your data sheet at your control. So you need to see, you need to specify it's a fossil carbon going in the atmosphere. You need to add that. Yeah, so there is a item, column item, or sort of item as a list of that. So they are emissions to air. You can add methane, you can add CO2 other than what is happening within the, you are taking a lot of inputs, right? Electricity, the materials, we did like the wooden shed model. If you have additional CO2 coming as a CO2 going, you need to add them as an item, line item. Do you understand that now? Do you follow what I've said? Yeah. So in this tutorial you will see that one. Any other question or comment?
So the single number,
single point score. Yep.
The score can be represented in terms of health impact?
It's just takes everything based on certain weighting. If you put then one, that creates like that. So it's single number is a single number. Okay, it's include everything, or human health, everything is included in that number. But you can see that one where they're coming from, So single point is basically, it's a composite of all, I would say. Does that make sense?
Like the absolute effect, when we can, like the comparative.
When you do comparison to product, I think single number would be good to judge, isn't it? Yeah.
But the absolute effect on the environment or on humans, the number, what number represents?
What is the magnitude? It's a number. I don't know. I think sometimes they generate from the models sitting in the back of the calculation, but you need to interpret that your ways. Kind of that. Say generally, what I do, if you look at just Google another paper or chapter, I don't know whether Shalini has got all of them. Life cycle assessment for various energy system. One book chapter I have produced or written 2000 that shows all these indicators and what is the typical way. For example, I have done 1 megawatt hour electricity or 1 kilowatt hour electricity, but what I have done, I have showed them if you have a large power plant, which one is better, coal, natural gas, etc., I compared. So majority of the LCA paper, I get really annoyed. They just produce result and they report the result. What do they mean? I mean, is it big, is it small, should I be concerned about? Even a DALI, say 0001, you will see that those numbers are very small, but unless somebody makes sense in the interpretation section, it's really useless to me. And 90% of the paper, unfortunately, are like that, because I think students get into this area or anyone, put some input, generate some results, publish a paper, and paper also getting published anyway, hundreds of paper published for all sorts of ways. But yeah, that's my comment. Anyone? Any other comment?
So how do we interpret this resources values actually?
Resource depletion, is it or no? No, what is that?
The mineral scarcity and the resource scarcity.
Yes.
On what basis, on what minerals it would be?
Yeah.
How do we interpret that?
You see that one is primary energy unit, they call it megajoule surplus, that's one unit. Another unit is dollar, you see that one. Another unit they use iron equivalent or copper equivalent. Okay. So what they say at the moment, say your process may be 100 equivalent to 100 iron, okay, 100 unit of iron. Because you are doing something, you take a lot of steel in the process, making a power plant or something, your iron unit now for your process it's maybe 500. So that means your process is 5 times more resource intensive or making resource depletion potential compared to the existing process if you are comparing or something. Do you understand that what I have said? That's the way to reinterpret for resource depletion. So you can use any of these, megajoule surplus or US dollar equivalent or any currency equivalent, and also the specific metal equivalent, because that's the resource is mainly metals, energy, finite element or finite amount of those materials in the nature, you are taking it for your own purpose or making a product or whatever. Do you understand what do you follow what I have said?
Yes. So is it that's how do we get that unit rate? It's how we give the input. That
Yeah, the input will take it. It will generate from the LCA software, isn't it? The software will, because they have got a model. They have got a, for example, iron. How many deposits around the world? Okay, what are the resources? You know that USGS, United Nations, United States Geological Survey, British Geological Survey, Geological Survey of India, GI, what they call GI, Geological Survey of GSI. I think they have got Kolkata head office, isn't it? Near the Park Street, near the museum, isn't it? We used to walk every day at that time. I can remember. And also they have got a big office somewhere anyway, Salt Lake or somewhere. Yeah. So, but also they have got offices all around. Every state has got geological. So they do determine how much resources available now, what rate it is being produced. Okay, what is the lifetime of particular resource. Okay, and how long they will last essentially based on that at the current rate. Now you are building up probably 100 bridges or 10 airports, then that will affect the resource, right? So, so that will be reflected in this kind of scenarios. Okay, now which is really good, I would say, because but this is kind of simplified also, because you know current rate of production we assume, like in Australia we have got at the moment I think $28 billion resources, 28 billion ton. 28 billion ton of iron ore, good quality iron ore in Australia. Okay. Now every year almost we are nearly producing 1 billion ton and sending to various countries, particularly in China. So it will be lasting 28-30 years at best. Okay. But that assumption is the rate of production. That assumption is that we might not get a discovery anymore. But it is not true. We might have a lot of iron ore resources sitting there somewhere. But although it's we have explored so much, it is unlikely that we will get another Pilbara, which is our main Western Australian iron ore province. Okay. So the good quality resources are getting scarce and scarce, but India relatively is unexplored. I know that well, when you exploration of resources, it means how deep you go, what part of the country, what are the different methodologies you have used, etc. So like Australia is heavily explored continent, in fact. So gold, you know, copper, actually I used to do a lot of this work, some of the publication we made also, there are models also to predict, and so some of the, it is very simplistic to say it will run 30 years or 40 years, etc. But obviously there are implications, that is the resource depletion potential, and we need to think about, and that is where circular economy, recycling, those amount of resources, for example, now actually we are going to deal with that, say hydrogen industry, okay, or electrolyzers, which is used to make hydrogen. You have to put platinum and iridium as a catalyst sometimes, they are one of those sometimes depending on that. So that dosage is, I do not know, at the moment probably 500 gram per centimeter square, say we need to reduce that milligram, probably it is a small amount anyway, but we are thinking, okay, let us reduce to 100, and then is that the same performance. Your mobile phones used to use quite a bit of gold, you know, the brick phones some people use, that we call it, used to use more gold than currently used. So they are optimized this, so that will reduce the resource use. So but all these things are kind of taken into account to some extent. So although it is not 100%, but at least some indication is there. So that is related with resource depletion. Is that kind of broad, big and vague answer, but I hope that gives a bit of indication to you. Okay. Anyone else, any other comment? Yes, ma'am.
So initially the functional unit,
Yes.
we chose as felled tree,
Yes.
not wooden shed.
For this project functional unit is wooden shed, but you need to build step by step, okay, one after another. So I am saying that because we did felled tree model, felled tree is your, it's I am not, that's not, it's just I said it, but it's not the functional unit. Functional is the wooden shed.
So once we put the wooden shed as the functional unit, it will automatically consider the other products which is required for it, like nails and other.
That's right. The way, yeah.
Do we add those as individual functional units?
You have to, when you do model, so first you do simple shed, no sorry, the felled tree will take sawing, then when you are making planks you take feltree, you connect with that, then planks, then next stage is that shed, you take the planks. Okay. So, that way one after another you build the model. Okay. And then finally you run the model on your shed, so that it picks all these from you, because you have linked them, you have to link them. Does that answer your, that is what you are referring to or not?
So, you do it as individual models, or everything comes in?
You will be having individual models. If you want to run individually you can, but at the end of the day your job is for simple shed, that is why you link all of them. Yeah. Okay. In one model, yeah. Does that make sense now? Yeah. Anyone has got any other confusion or any question or anything like that?
Sir, I want to know the basic difference between the APO system, allocation at point of substitution, and cutoff and consequence.
What is that? So consequential, APOS, I forgot that name. What is the allocation at the point of substitution, isn't it? And what is the other one? Classification. You need to do that allocation, APOS, that one you should probably pick normally. Okay. But if you do that one, maybe you choose as part of tutorial, you will have access to both. Okay. Choose one with APOS, choose one with cutoff. Okay. And then compare them. Is the result too much different? My feeling is it's not too different in most cases, but sometimes they are. So it's a bit of practice and over the time, but generally people choose APOS. Okay. That's the one. So I think this question is a little, if you do that one, you will pick that one and you will see more probably yourself also. Yeah. Any other question? Yep. Oh, minus, why minus? Why minus? Is it the question? I have to go back, to be honest. Yeah, that's a good idea. Yes, this one, isn't it? So that's what is that, natural, I don't know, what is it, land or something? Yeah. Land maybe. So looks like, what is that one? That's coming from the waste, right? I have to go back. I don't understand myself, but sometimes when we say negative, it's probably it is maybe taking CO2 from atmosphere. Sometimes we call it that way. So if you say waste, you are saving CO2. So that we need to go back really. Maybe we need to check it. Maybe check it yourself also. Let me know also what does that mean really. So, but you will see some negatives, particularly with the waste scenario. If you include waste, it becomes maybe positive impact, and that's how they calculate. It's how you represent probably. I don't know whether it is negative here. It's common. No, because that's not waste is included here. This is a different thing. But that one, yeah, that shows as like that. Yeah, I don't understand, to be myself honest. I'm sorry. Can't say you. Yeah. Any other question?
The recipe method, the I, H, and E, what is this?
Let's go back to the recipe, isn't it? That's the one, maybe? No, I think go ahead. I am next, maybe, isn't it? No, before. This is the, so E is called egalitarian, H is called hierarchist, I is called individualistic. Okay. So H is the 100-year time frame. Okay. So what will the impact, because all these CO2 is, or methane we are putting in the atmosphere. Okay. So its radiative the effect, because it is that global warming happening. If you take 20-year time frame, 20-year view, what happens of the impact in the 20 years? It will be very high. Okay. But 20 years maybe it's not a big time frame compared to that. So some people prefer the 20-year, that's the individualistic view, that I live, doesn't matter the future generation, something like that. But majority cases H is the hierarchist, they call it 100-year time frame. Okay, 100-year time frame. And then egalitarian is the 500-year time frame. So that's what the differences is. So I think generally we pick H. Is that okay, ma'am? That's okay. Yes.
Is there like a repository where all these terms are defined?
Yes. What I recommend you, that PDF document, go to the glossary. Okay. So there is a definition of terms. That's the best place to learn about those. But there are other sort of sources. Okay, definitely. Yeah. But this is major ones are there. Okay. Any other question or comment? So far I want to know from each one, how comfortable you are. So about the software, I mean, well, not you are doing the software now, but at least the information I have given, how do you feel about that? Any other comment? What do you learn from the morning? So if I go from the back, ma'am, if you okay to share your views, would be good. Thanks. Sorry, you are okay, and you learned something new in this morning. Definitely, we will be helping you out. Okay, thanks. What about you?
I can know about that how the raw materials impacts on different aspects of technology, so you can decide based upon their analysis.
Sure. Do you think you can run the software yourself? You got some ideas? Eh? Okay, good. What about next? Oh, sorry, I think you be back of you. Sorry. Okay.
I have one question.
Yes. Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah.
About the time frame we are doing LC. Suppose I am harvesting one tree today and I am planting today itself, and then I am doing the analysis for the 20 years. Actually, there will be a carbon footprint, but for the 100 years there will not be a carbon footprint. So how we see that?
Okay. Take that mic. Yeah. Yeah. How you differentiate that? So to answer that question, there is it's called CDM, Clean Development Mechanism. I don't know whether anyone heard that CDM. What is that in CDM? What's that thing? CDM, Clean Develop. What's that called? Clean Development Mechanism, I guess, isn't it? That's. So that's, have you heard that Clean Development Mechanism? It's called CDM. So has a developed countries has emitted a lot of CO2, right? I mean, that's we saw in the first one of the lecture. What's the developing country can do? So if you show you are planting a tree, you can monitor that and you can show that will survive or etc., then you can claim for that carbon. It's under CDM, and so you can access fund. It's a global pool of fund. You can show them I have reduced 100 unit of CO2. You can get, I don't know, $10 per ton of CO2, $1,000 you can claim back. Okay, so that's under CDM. So that's why these things are coming more increasingly important, that what you plant, is it just plant on the paper or really you have got trees on the ground and sequestering CO2, atmosphere, etc. So that's question brings, and that's why they go carefully what year or what the base year or what methodology you are choosing. Okay. So it's not necessarily I plant and go somewhere and no accountability. It's not like that. There will be increasingly more scrutiny on that. Does that make sense to you? Or yeah. So you have to monitor it. It's not necessarily I say I plant a tree and that's it. No, it has to be documented and clear and transparent. Okay. So you are comfortable with the software now, at least from the lecture. Okay. What about in the back? Is there anyone? Abhishek, you used this, right? You know quite a bit. Okay. Maybe you can share what's your experience so far to others.
So we can put any input according to the problem. We can show the results as we require, about how much time we can, for how much time we are analyzing. Based on that, we can input on that.
Yeah.
It is not a time dependent software. We can put the equation or numbers in terms of times. As we can say, how many times are we studying for 1 year or 2 years or 10 years. We can put the numbers in terms by summing in terms of that.
Total year 2, isn't it? Yeah.
Here we cannot interpret the results in years.
Yeah.
In terms of years or times, but we can put the numbers in whole.
That's right. And also another thing, you are going to present tomorrow, right? You know that one. Are you available? Your work, okay? So make some slides on what you did. Another thing, in fact, what Abhishek or Shalini to some extent did, you don't have to be dependent on 100% of the software. You can, if someone has the software, you can get the factor, you can generate your own spreadsheet, and you can do LC also. So that's another way to do it. It's not necessarily you have to be really 100% super competent, advanced in the software. You can help. That's what we did together. So I gave the factors mostly to them, and they did the calculation and then generated the Excel sheet, and we know broadly that makes sense the result, and you can generate and then they published a paper. So, it is not then there is not it. I mean, you have not used CIMAPRO that well, right Shalini, but you did LCA. So, it is a possible also. So, next please Tez.
Sir, my understanding here is we have several products or different items like wooden shed here. How do we get the entire information related to the raw materials inputs and how much quantity of each? How do we get that data?
Very good question. That's that numbers at the moment your tutorial sheet has got. It says put 3 minutes of sensawing, 300 kilogram of wood, 2 kilogram of wood waste. You have to read that. Okay, you get that from the tutorial sheet. But this is for your practice. But if you do LCA, those numbers you have to generate, or you have to get from the literature, or you have to measure. So, what we do the early, so if there is no LCA done on a thing, you are fast or you are the main person doing it, you have to get literature. If anybody published any studies, obviously literature review part of that, and then what we do, we get, say some people reported this, we take an average. Okay, sometimes that is another interesting thing. I think in chemical, I think we discuss about Aspen simulation. Somebody chemical engineer shared with us, isn't it? Who is that? Who is our chemical engineer here? Yeah, you did about Aspen, isn't it? So, what does Aspen do? You have got a hypothetical plant, you can put all these number, you can generate mass balance, energy balance, connector processes, inputs. So, if you don't know number, hypothetically you generate the list of inventory or the what is required. Okay, or ideally you should measure it, you should get from the experiment, you should get from the plant, maybe 10 and one plant different to another. That is why average technology, where it is measured, and you get number of plants, you get a bit of distribution, and actually we will be talking about that. There is a number of distribution. I think if you go beyond that 61 page, I am talking for that tutorial document, you will see that it is called log normal distribution, it is called normal distribution, various kinds of distribution, so that how the data is distributed, so that you generate a number. And another thing I stress this one is that all the people I teach or I tell, it is not a single number. If somebody says that it is a single number, like the wooden shed, we did that one, but it is a single number means something wrong. You have to have a range, it is a average plus minus certain, and that is why in CIMAPRO there is another thing called sensitivity analysis. I do not want you to go that far, you can do that one, and then that will see the distribution, say that 100 plus minus 30, your greenhouse gas emission, it is 100 plus minus 30. So, it is always range for the input you have given, but that input is not exhaustive. There may be 2 plants are really worse, one plant is really best. So, all these like say steel making I am talking about, or aluminum making, because we did that one. I know exactly, and Indian plants are not very good in terms of CO2 emission, because they are poor, inefficient, their ore quality is very low, and that makes CO2 emission high. So, those sort of interpretation would be obvious. You understand now what I am saying? Clear? Okay.
Sir, one other.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Practically, if we have to go to a manufacturing unit or some place and we try to get these details.
Yeah.
Usually here in India,
it's not that. Yeah. That's why talk to our chemical engineers. They will generate for you some number, hypothetical number, at least close enough, because it's at the end of the day it's a mass balance, energy balance, what's going in. I mean, as a chemical engineer, we think it's a process, something going in, you do something and you get a product, and what is going in should be equal to go out, because mass you cannot never destroy, isn't it? Mass and energy you cannot destroy or nor create or something they call it. So, it's converted basically. So, you can do some theoretical conceptual calculation. I have done LCS like that and generated and published also. But on the other hand, as you said, if you want to do properly, if you want to good credibility, obviously you need plant measurement. Okay, and that's depends on how much money, how much effort, what is the objective, and that's why the goal and the scope definition is important. What is the purpose of it? Who is the customer for it? Who is the stakeholder? How big the project should be? How much money you have got? These are all optimization. You understand now? Okay.
So one last
yep, sure. Go ahead.
Yes,
Any question is good question.
Review.
Yep.
And they ask techniques like MCDA, fuzzy methods, then felicity model. So which one?
Yeah, so I think I've seen that a lot of artificial intelligence, all these new techniques to implement to get the data, because input data has a lot of impact, and that's why I say sensitivity analysis. So that's why people are creating, using those tools to generate good quality of input data. That's where the role of those, any new fancy thing, although I am not really genetic algorithm artificial. So a lot of my colleagues are thinking, or not colleagues, usually students come up with that one. Sometimes I like that, but unfortunately I am not in that area. I am not an expert on AI or anything like that, but I understand they create good, and you can generate, like say for example input data. Okay, so what they call random numbers, right? So you can, if you know the average, if you know the standard deviation, you can use random numbers. What is that called? Monte Carlo simulation. Have you heard of that? So using Monte Carlo simulation, you can generate quite a bit of range, and then you can evaluate that one. Then you can qualify the result that because of this input, because input is not single number again, isn't it? That's and it's not 1 ton of wood is used to make a shed. Some places it would be 1 ton, some places it would be half a ton, some cases it would be 1.5 ton, isn't it? It's a variable number. So your fuzzy or anything, those kind of new tools will restrict that and give a bit of good distribution. That's the benefit of that. Does that make sense now?
Thank you.
Yep, all good. Yeah, no problem. Anyone?
From today's session, I got an idea about how its interface look like, and how should I proceed stepwise to do LCA, and I would be more comfortable when I do it myself.
Thanks a lot. Thanks. Hope that we will be useful. Yeah.
From today's lecture, I got to know about how to perform LCA of the wooden sheet and how to give the configuration of the various, like we should be more careful about the input which we are taking into consideration, because it can affect our output.
Thanks a lot. And I want you all these screenshots in the Word document, okay?
Yes, okay.
Next. Okay, thanks.
From today's lecture, I got to know about the interface and the main beautiful thing about impact categories that is not limited to footprint or GWP, but land use, ozone formation, and many more things. So that is interesting.
Good, thanks.
Thanks for the informative session, sir. It was good to know about how to model in a CIMA Pro. I have a question, sir. What is the main difference in the LC method? Like some of them looks very old, like some of them are introduced in 2010. So is they all are compatible?
Yeah, so I think choosing method, I would recommend you depend on the LCA version. I think the current CIMA Pro version is I can't remember, 10 plus maybe, isn't it? Or even 11, I am not sure. So you always choose the latest. CIMA Pro is not big, it is big because it will interface with other things, but the database, the method, choose more later versions, okay? But if you don't have a choice, doesn't matter, I mean really, to be honest. Yeah.
What the method exactly do? So the calculation part?
So method does, it sits behind, it keeps that factors from IPCC guidelines or there are a lot of other models, World Resource Institute, there are protocols for calculating those ones. So those are inbuilt in the method, okay. So you have got input, so it's very simple to some extent, the job, but it's, I don't know how, sometimes I don't understand myself. The input data picks method like we did actually, coal, etc., megawatt hour, factors. So those factors sit in the method so that you can multiply. It's most of the LC calculation is multiplication and simple algebra, multiplication and adding up kind of that. So method, all these factors, method is the kind of bank for that. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. All right. So that's why method important also, isn't it? Because this do the whole calculation. Yes. Okay. Go on.
This session is very fine, and I learn now how to operate and how the values are put into the software. And sir, I request you please share if you have any case study like textile waste.
Yeah, there are. I can dump the whole. There is a big document, even handbook on textile LCA, and some of the Indian stuff is there too. So people are thinking about that. And maybe you can start thinking about whatever you are wearing and or I am wearing to do LC on that. This is a very important area. Yeah. Okay. I will share some of the literature. Fascinating. I think whole book just on LC of textile. relatively new, I would say maybe a year or half ago that is published. I will give you that link, okay. Remind me by the way, otherwise I will forget. Yeah.
Today I learned about the documentation process, and also I know how to select the library processes and various impact assessment method. Thank you.
Good, thanks. Hope you can do that yourself now. Yep. Yes, Avash, how did you find it?
Actually, sorry, actually, my laptop is open top, so I cannot stand actually.
Okay, no, that's fine, no issues. Yeah, you can talk from there.
Actually, the thing is that I have saw that the bar chart of that. Really more to understand more about that, about the bar chart of that, and moreover the inputs are, I think, enormous in numbers. Is going to be input in also in my flavor of PhD in steel making process.
Sure.
And yeah, actually I want to get some other case studies to get out the clear picture idea of the overview.
Sure.
That will be better for me if you have any case studies for that.
Yeah. Have you used CIMAPRO before at all?
No, actually not. I'm the new task for that.
Oh, good, excellent. Okay, then in front maybe.
Good session today. Yesterday when I was looking at the CIMAPRO software, that all the bar charts and the tables what I gone through, I find it means more relatable according to my work, and today it was more elaborative one. So I got some flavor, then I need to do it myself, then I'll be looking into that. And second thing, the factors you are telling about, those factors are the weights that we were discussing in the past presentation, is it so?
We were talking about weighting factor, that's government, social, economic and environmental. No.
Inputs you have given to ma'am, that factors are those weights you are telling about?
No, it's a, so when you say characterization, it's called characterization factors. Okay, so those are in the method, those are important ones. And then weighting another one, yeah, obviously, but mainly that characterization factors, those are the important ones. You can pick those, yeah.
Okay. And second thing, that can we combine including ELCA, SLCA also in this, or numerical LCA also in this?
Very good question. In fact, I can show you, maybe remind me how to do a social LCA. I'll probably have a lecture I can share. I'm not an expert, but I have sort of basic understanding I can show you.
Can we have some sort of combination? Can we include all those and
so with CIMAPRO there is a thing called social hotspot database. Okay, for example, this shirt I make in Bangladesh, I make in India, I make in China, I make in Australia. What are the social impact? Because in Bangladesh maybe I think the ladies are working long hours, no break or something like that, whereas in Australia it's not different, it's different. Workers have a lot of rights, those can be captured. Okay, so that's a good thing with LCA, but there is actually it's called social hotspot database. You Google it, social hotspot. What's the company they produce it? But it's a very lot of information on the web also. You can use it, but it can be like EcoInvent database. Social hotspot is a database. I'll show you because I bought it, I used it, kind of that one. But I'm not an expert in social side. I'm an engineering kind of expertise I have got. Yeah.
Maybe introduction can help.
Yeah, would be good. I will be doing that. Okay. Any other one? Oh, sorry, you have done it. You have not said yet. Have you said or not yet? Okay. Okay. Tell me. Yeah, in fact, for sensitivity, you have got a count, how many thousand count or something like that. You can set it up, and it will generate automatically.
So for every count, do we need to give different?
No. Just one time, it does essentially Monte Carlo simulation type. It randomly picks a number, calculates automatically, and then give you a distribution.
So, like what you said, like sawing process, if we do at different places, different machines, different time period. So that data directly taking like the actual data or the randomly generated data?
Randomly generated data. That's the thing. So if you send 10 sawmills, average is this, your standard deviation is this. Okay, you can specify the distribution in the LCA when you do the modeling. Okay, in that input sheet, then that will the sensitivity analysis will taking based on the distribution you refer. So it could be normal distribution like a bell. You can be, what is that? There are a number of distribution, statistical distribution, you know that, right? So that's,
Second,
Yep.
Like time frame, can we change, like the method we are using.
Yeah.
Normally it goes in time frame of 20, 100 or 500 years.
If it's mainly three choices, you have got egalitarian, you have got the individualistic or hierarchy. It's three choices. Yeah, yeah. I don't think
like
you.
If I have a reactor which works for 30 years or
Yeah.
50 years.
If you want to do your one, you have to generate your own model, own number based on your own measurement technique and etc. etc. Yeah. So, but those models are already built in.
There is another data was for economic
Allocation
LCA.
or input output economic input output LCA. Yeah. Again, yeah, I don't know how far we should go. I am not a big fan of that, to be honest, but there are ways we have used that. I mean, say, how can I say that one? Say company Tata, okay? Tata wants to know its or it's more comes from the organizational LCA. So, what is the Tata's footprint? Tata is a big company, isn't it? They have so many sites. It's very hard to know what is Tata's footprint overall and where they are coming from. So, what we recommend, it's called input output LCA. So, what they do, if we know, because Tata has got a financial sheet, a spreadsheet, they have got a finance department obviously, how much money, where it is going, they know exactly. We take that one, we put in an input output LCA methodology, and then what they will do, there is a, it's again another new tool, not new, it is a tool already you can buy when you buy CIMA-Pro, for example. It's called University of Sydney input output model, actually they generated, and another, maybe these are the things I just randomly, because it comes in my mind, it's called what is that called, ecology, IE lab, Google it, IE lab, okay, industrial ecology lab, something like that. So that's University of Sydney IE lab. It was kind of Australian initiative, to be honest, that what they did, they maintain that database, input output database. It's a country-wide export import, and it's a table, input output table, you can Google it, and there is a matrix. So, for example, cattle industry, mineral industry, aviation industry, this industry, that industry, this way matrix and this way column, and so it's like, you know, distance from Delhi to Calcutta, and they have got a list of distance, that kind of table, okay. So, what they do, if you know that all these material flow between countries, between regions, then they pick some sort of CO2 footprint per dollar and then convert into LCA. So, what I do, if I get Tata's financial department cost all these ones, and most companies do not want to share. So, we have done some work with some companies, and then they shared the whole thing with us in confidence obviously. Then you put in the input output model, it will generate an LCA very comprehensive where they are going. It is the electricity, it is the transport, it is the accommodation, it is the because it includes whole aspect of the economy, okay. So, say for Tata we do that one, we say we know that one, that what are the major component, and we do LCA on that. So, that's where the relevance is, okay.
So, one more question, like how to determine whether we want to do all three types of LCA for something or not?
On a product, whether input output, whether social LCA, whether environmental LCA. Before doing, it depends what client wants, and I would recommend, if it is an organizational LCA, maybe you can think and suggest them input output LCA first, okay, and then do that environmental LCA, and then maybe social LCA. But as we were doing here, it's everything about environmental LCA. This is my kind of, you know, expertise, and I recommend that. Yeah. Does that answer your question, right? Yeah, mostly. Okay. So, Shalini, what's your thinking? That use that microphone. Sorry, because the online people will listen. Yeah.
So, it was a very knowledgeful session about CIMA-Pro software, and it will be good whenever I will perform it myself in CIMA-Pro software. Since little bit I have already worked on CIMA-Pro in previous online course, and also we have learned about different stages of wooden shade from plantation to the wooden shade. So
thanks. And Shalini has done that tutorial before, because she participated in one of the course I offered during before. So volunteer course, isn't it, during COVID time? Eh? So that's so that she will be helping us if in any need also. I mean, those who have done it probably would be useful. Okay. Yeah.
I have learned about the procedure of LCA, how to create a network and how to select the methods and to gain the endpoint and midpoint results and find out the what factors are affecting the human health and resources.
And this is today, isn't it? You learned. Okay, so okay, that's all right. So it's new for you, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so let's do it and properly. So I know you wanted to share anything. Good, go ahead. Yeah, you can speak in Hindi if you feel whatever. Yeah.
So I learned a little bit information like so basics of allocations. In basics of allocations, EPOS is
sure,
and sensitivity analysis step is more
that's
important,
right.
and there were single score steps there are.
That's right.
So
Yeah.
that's many things.
Yeah. So I think it will be useful for your environmental science course. So you do that tutorial, okay? So yourself, and it will be very useful. You've got a laptop anyway. That's good. Okay, ma'am. Yeah.
I've seen the indicators in like literature, and I
Yeah,
wonder,
that's right.
it's like this is so complicated how they would calculate these things.
Yeah.
So now it gives me more clarity, and I'm looking forward to do it on my own. So
Sure. Thank you so much. Yeah, that's good. We all will do that one. I think we missed this here. Where we moved anyway. That finally we can finish it off. Yeah.
Thank you for the session. So I want to know. You said you gave them some factors and they calculated in Excel. So
Yeah.
Can you give that demo to us also? So how
Can you do that?
How to perform it in Excel?
Okay, so what we do in that one, we run the software. Okay, say for example you need electricity from coal. Okay, I run it in CIMAPRO. I give that actually you have to calculate it. It's not necessarily you have to do LC on that particular thing, and give that factor to Shalini. The whole list I can just export and give it to, and then she can generate an Excel sheet kind of that. So you need to have the software. Yeah, is that your question, or is that? Okay, yeah, I'll do that one. Definitely, it's easy. Yeah, I'll show you how to do what I meant by that. Okay, yeah.
So it was a good elaborative introduction to CIMAPRO, and I think I will be more comfortable now, and I will try.
Yep, that's right. That's the job. I think myself to make sure that you feel comfortable with the software. Thanks. Yeah. Yeah.
It's good to know about interference, sir, and I will be more comfortable with the exercise.
Sure. Yeah.
And one point about the sustainability. Sustainability is a point of economics, environment, and social.
Yes.
As my colleague said about, if you can give some introduction
On social LCA, I'll do that one. Okay. So sure, one lecture probably will cover definitely. Yep.
It was a nice lecture, and I can able to do different projects also.
That's right. You told. Yeah. 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 Oh, that's fine. No problem. Thanks a lot.
Morning, sir. Sir, it was a very nice lecture, but actually I probably missed the starting point. That's why I'm not able to follow up that.
Where should we start?
Just starting slide. I missed that one. I don't know why I uploaded.
So that we started with the fell tree, one model. Okay.
It's not there in demo.
There is. Okay, we'll do that one. Maybe when you do that one, you sit with one of the students.
Can I get this slides? This particular thing. PPT.
Yeah. Have you started doing it already? Modeling?
I have a software. I have a laptop and everything, but that starting slide I missed.
Okay.
That's why I'm not able to.
Okay. We'll probably go together. We'll do that together. Okay. So no problem. So that's fell tree. Yeah, that's right. Okay.
And then the various parameters there in every tab. There are various parameters. So definition of every parameter and where to use it and how to use it.
Yeah.
It's very difficult.
It's very overwhelming sometimes with CIMAPRO because so many options. It's like as I said that
in processes also, in recipes also, so many things are there. So we have to know where to use it and how to use it.
Yeah. It's like I told iPhone that 10% of the thing we are using. So again, we have to prioritize. So don't get overwhelmed. We just pick one thing at a time, and a lot of things ignore it for the moment.
Can we get this PPT?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'll do that one. Yeah, I'll send that.
Sir, one thing is there, if you have any tutorial or something of building materials LCA, something like in building materials, something like in building materials, basically building materials LCA.
It's called in Australian database, when I mentioned, it's called BPIC, Building Product Innovation Council, BPIC, Building Product Innovation Council, Building Products Innovation Council. You go to their website, Google it, BPIC, and also I think one of the slide I have got that if you missed probably, but Google it, there is a database. You can download. It's a good database, I would say. It's not bad. You need to probably register something and they will give you the database. That's Australian condition, but you can, that could be starting point. Say timber, glass, concrete. Lot of data that has got, because that was a funded program from government and we generated that, and we wanted to include that as part of CIMA Pro. They did, I think, but
it is included in CIMA Pro or not?
If you buy CIMA Pro, you can have a lot of choices. So that was a kind of additional bonus product for CIMA Pro, but there are a lot of information on the web, I can tell you. Yeah, it's kind of Excel sheet. You need to understand a bit, and then you can use it. Yeah.
And sir, one more thing is we are adding some chemical in some process. We are adding some chemical in between our processes. So what is the impact of that chemical?
So you see that one. Where is we going back? Hopefully. So they see that there is chemicals. Can you see? Yes. If you expand that one, it will say inorganic chemicals, organic chemicals, various types of chemicals. If you click that one, acids, you name it basically. There are, as I said, there are now, when I started LCA, it was probably 500 to 1000 processes. Now it has got more than 20,000 processes, 25,000 processes probably. So lots of chemicals already there inbuilt.
We can include that effect also.
That's right. You can take that one. So it's quite. That's the beauty of the database, that you don't need to do a lot of things yourselves.
To do myself only, then only I will understand.
So let's do that tutorial. Okay. All right. Thanks a lot. So in the back, that PPT is there.
It's already shared at lecture 4, but yes, there is some revisions.
Okay. Okay, I'll share definitely. I told you that I'll share it. Okay. Okay.
It was a good introduction on interface of software. Would like to know more. Means, are we going to do any case studies live along with you during the sessions? That will be of more help.
So tomorrow, Shalini will be presenting how we did LCA for wind turbines. Okay. That will be presented, and also Abhishek LCA of carbon capture process.
Means live.
So if you say,
if we can do live, so that
if
we
we
can
pick
have the different option in front of us and ask the questions related to that option. Sir, what will happen with that option? Kind of.
That's fine. So that wooden tutorial we'll do together anyway. So that tutorial one you are going to do yourself, but I will be doing that myself too at time to time, because tomorrow we'll follow up what you are doing. Yeah, that's right. That the whole tutorial we'll do together also. Okay.
Introduction to CIMA Pro was good. I'm looking forward to doing the tutorial along with you.
Sure, and because you are a bit of a user, so you know that one. Okay. Okay.
For me today there was a lot of new things. Probably I will understand more when I do it myself.
Do it yourself. Yeah. At the end of the day, it's best way to learn LCA, do it yourself, to be honest. Yeah. So any software, not not only LCA, CIMA Pro, but we are here. I mean, that's we are learning. So I think by this time you can claim probably you know about LCA, right? Isn't it? I mean, now doing it, one thing knowing it, another thing doing it is a little bit different, isn't it? It's like all the yogis. They say that you can talk about, you can learn a lot, read about yoga. Unless you do it, you don't know what is yoga is, isn't it? Anyway, then next.
Sir, from today's lecture, I learned about what wood production process chain. What are the steps involving in this, from harvesting to cutting, chopping, and manufacturing woods, manufacturing timber and houses, wood houses, and furnitures and all, and what are the contribution of engineers and manpower involving in this?
Right. So it's to be honest, I don't know. I think whether you are getting new information or not. We talk about just LCA, but some of the other things I just try to include that which is relevant sometimes. For example, conceptually, say for example, wooden shed is not wooden shed, as you know. Wood comes from so many sources. Yeah, that's also need to appreciate that. Yeah, we need to. Yeah.
So I learned about various inputs and steps for the software, and maybe I'll learn more when I do it.
Sure, definitely. Yeah, that's the whole objective.
So today I learned about the new software, that is CIMA Pro. I don't know about that, and how to use for our essay purpose, how to add materials, amount, and then also we saw the outcome, how should we read the result, like how much percentage of global warming, like that, and I will be more comfortable when I do myself.
Sure.
Sir, I studied some literature before coming here, so I knew something about LCF, but haven't know anything about how to use the software. So knowing it will be a today was better for knowing the software, but I'll be more comfortable working on it after once I try it.
Sure. I think everybody contributed, right? Anyone else left? Okay. So now what we want to do anyway, that's we can do together, but I prefer first you try it, okay, and then obviously we are here. If we start, I think Shalini and anyone also, those people particularly, I think the other lady Ankita can help also, and I am here obviously. I think we should start doing it, and but another thing also, once maybe tomorrow, it's because I did another unit and we had a recorded session how to do that software. I want you to see that probably if you get stuck. So step by step, first you try, do it. It's nothing, you are not breaking anything, it's not a matter of fragile thing. So it maybe you will run out of saving time, doesn't matter. I mean, then you can try again, reinstall again, maybe that's another annoying thing, but overall let's try it. Okay, so you try it. Then I will give these lectures anyway. You have got the lectures anyway. You will get the slides, and I will make sure that you get that, watch that video. It's maybe an hour or so, that showing how to do it at one step by step. Okay, and obviously I will be showing it. So that's the final thing. Okay, so that's because I have got the software myself anyway. So I think that's the plan. I don't know how we are going with time. We should have a break anyway. I think we are over quite a bit, stressed long. So Professor Jain.
My last advice is that it's my own personal experience. If you want to learn something, you have to really try out of yourself. Okay, so yesterday also we were talking about do it yourself. So please, now you understand, you know what the software is. So it is advised that you try it of your own. And whatever difficulties you face in doing it, we will continue discussing it here, and you will have an opportunity to talk about it and ask for it, and we will address it. Okay? So do it.
So let's break for maybe it is 10:40, 10 minutes break. Okay, so 11:05 will come back. Okay, and I'll tell what to next. Okay. Sorry, I think I went over time probably. How is going? Everything okay? Social LC তারা বলতে চাই So, I think let us start again. We have got past mostly, although there are few things we can cover also. Social LCA, do you want to talk now, or if you have the energy to listen to me, because I am talking a lot and same voices, then we can talk about social LCA, or we can start tutorial. What do you think? Let us see what the majority thinks. You want to learn about social LCA? Okay, let's do that, finish, and then tutorial. So, but anyway, we have got a whole day, and we have got also tomorrow and day after tomorrow a little bit time, so we can go. So, let us talk about social LCA. All right. So, I think that is the same information I am using. So, but this time we will be talking what is SLCA. By this time SLCA I know, social LCA, that is we are going to talk about. Why do you need it? What are the indicators of social LCA? How to do an social LCA, and where to go again, that is so that kind of I think that is the same information, but not basically I am going to do a bit of social LCA but I disclaimer, or I can tell you I am not an expert in that area. So, but I can give you kind of primary basics so that you can manage yourself, and if you want to, obviously some of the information I will give you, you can go further. This is the Bible to do social LCA. Have you seen anyone before? Has anyone seen this document before at all? So, Google it, guidelines for social life cycle assessment of products, and that is there. I am not sure we have got in the list, but it is just it's online. Okay, that is a very good document, UNEP. So, whole life cycle assessment started, the concept is called CTAC. Have you heard of the term called CTAC? Society of Environmental Toxicology, and yeah, isn't it, and then chemistry. So, that CTAC initiative, they used to call life cycle CTAC initiative, I think that started in 90s. So, they are the probably had a lot of contribution of LCA. So, you Google UNEP CTAC literature and LCA initiatives, you will get a lot of information nowadays, yeah, and some of them are online, some of them are, most of them are online I would say, and publicly available, because these organization UNEP, United Nations Environment Program, they want to build the global capability on this kind of thing. So, I would say it is a very good source. Anyway, these lectures are in the drive, isn't it? I think Shalini, my understanding this, because I took that from the list of lectures. So, this is lecture 5, if you look lecture 5 in your document, this is the lecture I am going to give. Okay. Now, what is social LCA? Same concept, it is not new thing, but the indicators are different obviously. So, you see, where is our textile man, textile expert in textile, you are going to do some textile work, is it right? So, say it says here, I should have highlighted here, 1 kilogram t-shirt or 1 t-shirt or 100 t-shirt, 1 ton of t-shirt, does not matter unit, it is a t-shirt, simple. T-shirt, to make a t-shirt what do you need? You need cotton, right? You need cotton at plant, oven you know that, but that has to come from yarn has to come from cotton fibers at various places, isn't it, at farms in the US, maybe even India produces a lot of cotton, I understand. Egypt produces a lot of cotton, Australia produce and export a lot of cotton, because one of my scientists I know, and we keep in CSIRO world's best cotton seeds, and I know that is a lot of our income. So, I know very well that one. So, cotton fiber, yarn production, and then that is you need electricity for that, these are all connected anyway. Yarn goes to the oven, weave, you know, to bleaching, washing, drying, dyeing and drying, two different things obviously, coloring and also taking water out of the thing, and sewing cotton. So, t-shirt, that is a t-shirt model, you know, the similar concept, isn't it, like the model we saw wooden shed, exactly similar. Now, that goes to the retail, okay, and then obviously I think maybe before retail, washing, drying, disposal, that kind of use, there is a bit of looks like not exactly what that should be done, but you can have your own model, whether it is t-shirt, whether jacket or whatever. So, that is in the textile context, because social LCA most relevant, and lot of people started working in this, because you know there are a lot of information or issues, I would say. In Bangladesh there was a fire. Have you heard of that Savar fire? Somewhere there is a lot of textile worker died because of fire, and there was in the big news. So Western world, they take all these ones, you know, that in Australia they call it Kmart, and one store called Target. Because I come from Bangladesh, obviously Bangladesh is the number 1 or number 2 in fact textile producing country after China. It's a huge, they get, I don't know now, 30-40 billion dollar of export revenue, and that's mainly Bangladesh, and 90% export income comes from that, other than remittance from the foreign workers. So it's very important industry for some countries, Vietnam, Bangladesh, India also big textile industry too, some states I know. So that's why there was information came about and then was applied in the context of textile industry mostly, and that's how the system developed. This is the database, social hotspots database, that although I have got a bit of older version, I would recommend you go to that social hotspot.org, and if you want to do properly social LCA, obviously you need to have that database in your system, and that's quite expensive database again, but basically they have got what is that, all the countries in the world, their social profile. So what's the economic condition, how many, what is the child labor rate, for example, workers' right, you know, how many hospitals for the workers, well-being of the workers, things like that. These are the, because any of the social, these are the social indicators, right, social well-being of the workers, things like that. And so that's I think they have updated that version, but this is the main database is for social LCA. So you can see, look at the social LCA database indicator set. So first categories, this is the first layer of categories, we call it labor rights and decent work, health and safety, human rights, then this one governance, I think, community infrastructure. And you know, in health and safety particularly, we in Australia, this is one of the key piece of anything. Engineers, if it is not safe, it is not engineering. If engineers does not know health and safety, they will not be employed anywhere. This is the bottom line in Australia. Yeah, I think everywhere, here also, Professor Jain, isn't it? Here also you are embedding health and safety. All the, yep,
not that much.
That much. Still, so safety tolerance, I know in India is very, very high, isn't it? I mean, when I travel with my colleagues from Australia, I have traveled around in India, in Bangladesh, they said every overtake is a near miss, we call it, and they get scared, you know, that boom, boom. We see this one in the roads, that buses and trucks, how they travel, I see all the time. I mean, but it's nothing happening probably, because people, in the morning I was bike riding, I was scared too, but I grew up here, I know, but if my colleague is here, Warren Brackard, who was with me for a long time, one of the Australian, he was commenting that, oh, I'm not, he's wearing all the time in the front, and so that he wants to see, and if something happens, wearing belts. I mean, we were going to the ISCO steel mill in Asansol, we couldn't get the belt out, and he cannot go, he's adamant, without belt he wouldn't go. So we had to, they have never take the belt out, because that was in the, you know, that has been somewhere in new car they bought or something, it's a new car, but they just didn't bother to get that belt, original belt out. It was like that for so many times, I don't know how many months that car is, or years that car is running. So here he was forcing that without belt I cannot go. So that kind of thing. So it's, they said, oh, you guys, I mean, he treated me as an Indian, he said that you guys safety tolerance is very high. I said, yeah, it is reality, but I think we have a big role, engineers, we have a big role, because we are involved with the construction, we want big things, big plants, without imposing that. And one thing I liked really, I can, because I give this example other places too, when we go into the steel plant, it said, you are not as lucky as Ganesh, or is that called Ganesh, isn't it? Ganesh, yeah. And the you may not be, no, it said you may not be as lucky as Ganesh, so wear the helmet. So it's a nice, I said I didn't get it, and then Dr. Arup was saying that, you know, Ganesh, his head was chopped off, and so he has put a new head. So you might not be, your case, your head gone, so you have to put the helmet on. So it's really nice message that that kind of thing, that it is your responsibility. And we say in CSIRO, whenever I go to the toilet, the mirror, your you are the person responsible for your safety, or something, who you see in the mirror, something like that. I forgot that exact language or exact statement, that who you see in this mirror responsible for your safety. So, that means you are responsible for your safety, but you need to have that awareness and education, and that is very, very important. Injuries and fatalities, toxics and hazards. I mean these are the observed, I cannot resist to tell these things, because in the morning I saw, the poor people, they are, they are enjoying the warmth of the fire, and he was burning smell, isn't it? I mean the plastics, you see that one, you go in the outside Allahabad, I go in Dhanbad, the same story. Kolkata, in the morning when I see that people are burning stuff which should not be burnt in front of anyone. So, they are damaging themselves, they are damaging the whole lot of other people around, and damaging everyone, isn't it? So, it is not their fault, they do not know, probably we are not managing it properly. So, as a society, I treat as myself one of the Indian person, and that is why all my colleagues, when they come in Western from the world, and I tell some of the times, and some of the Indian colleagues, they say, oh, you do not need to tell about how we live our lives, etc. But I said, do not shoot the messenger, it's the so I am giving you the messages, people are observing us and telling us about us. So, I think as an educated society, or you are the cream of the society to some extent. How many people get chance to come to the university in this country, isn't it? So, I think we have a big role to play. So, that is health and safety. Same with labor rights and decent work. So, it is child labor, forced labor, excessive working time, wage assessment, poverty, migrant labor, freedom of association. In Australia, it is very strong, union. Sometimes there are pros and cons, unemployment, labor laws. So, these are, so that is the difference between a developed country and a developing country, or an underdeveloped country, or to some extent, it is not, I am not saying that countries like ours has to be on the top of everything, because we have got a lot of complex issues, it is not easy. We have so much population, we have resource constraint, we have got land issues. So, we cannot change overnight, but if we think one person, slowly let us improve it, and that is the good thing, this sort of tool came. So, that is where social LCA is more relevant, more important. I live by, to be honest, I stress I stress it for our countries is very, very important, but unfortunately I am not an expert on that. So but I think that is where I should spend more time than environmental LCA. Does that make sense what I am talking about? And then human rights, obviously indigenous people rights, high conflicts, gender equity, human health issues. So, indigenous rights, you know that one, that the what they call Adivashis here, right? Adivashis, isn't it, Adivashi? So, in Australia nowadays it is a mandatory. If I start this LCA course, I have to say that I am standing on the land of Bunurong people or Kulin nation. I pay the respect to their elders, past and present and future. That's I have to start with. That's official now. So, just to, it's not necessarily now, probably people are saying, oh, it's for the sake of we are saying it, you need to really do something for the Adivashis or indigenous people, but, and I think a lot of things are happening, but maybe in Australia also a lot of historical issues, I mean, particularly how we treat our indigenous population. I was in New Zealand also Maori population, they call it. The city I lived in, it's called Rotorua, you can Google it, it's called Sulphur City, lot of, it's a kind of volcanic active city. So, you get smell of that. It is called Maori capital of New Zealand. So, 30% of the population of Rotorua are Maori people. They are nice people, they are. I mean, sometimes we have got, as we assume things, but they are nice people and they have a lot of rights in New Zealand. New Zealand is called Treaty of Waitangi. So, the government and the king or whatever that administration, when they first landed in New Zealand, they formed a partnership with the indigenous people. So, they have the rights in the parliament, probably 10% of the members should be come from Maori background. The land wherever they have got, because their livelihood was forest or something, because that is the tribal nomadic life. Now, if you set up a big plant there, that everything will be destroyed, where they will eat, because they do not eat normal food, nowadays they do probably, but that time same with any development work. So, that is very, very important part. It is a kind of development, I would say. With education people feel more, but, and I am sure in India has, Professor, you maybe when your time social demography in Australia, it has changed a lot, isn't it? It's changed a lot. So but we have a long way to go also at the same time. Conflicts, equity, gender equity, that's another thing in Australia, like in CSIRO for example, we have less female scientists, less indigenous scientists. So we have a target that by this time you have to have that many female scientists, that many indigenous scientists. And also in the universities everywhere, it's hard to, they have to follow that the procedure and fulfill the quota of that female population represented, because you cannot live without female particularly representation in the society. So you need to bring them up, and not only female, any other underrepresented society. For example, I advocate there, it's called everywhere, it's called cultural inclusion or inclusive committees, things like that. So I promote, I said okay, good, Australia is a kind of country with a lot of native British white people. We don't have, we have a big immigrant population from India, from Bangladesh, from Pakistan, everywhere, I mean all over the world. How many scientists represented there? How many senior members represented there? So we have a role to bring them also on the table, kind of that. Everywhere it's a very inclusive environment you need to create. So that's very important. Then obviously governance is called legal system, corruption, so that's obviously we know that one. Community infrastructure, hospital beds, drinking water, sanitation, children out of school, smallholder versus commercial farms. So these are the social themes. These are the, so each big indicator set, you have got a small indicators, and with the LC again we need to quantify, and that's the beauty of it. It's not that, oh, my country is the best country, you cannot tell about that. And I was really scolded by one of the academic I know that in my country that, oh, you don't need to tell about our country what we live. But I said not the point, it's indicator says we are the best, we can tell, but what the indicator says, at the end of the day indicator you need to follow. So it's a bit of I guess learning for all of us. I mean I live in the West, I grew up in the East, so I can see the contrast. A lot of people who do not travel outside country, probably they don't appreciate that. So our role is that to make sure that we all on the same page. Yes. What does?
Are the conflicts? Is there any conflicts in Australia with other countries in the environmental perspective?
Yes, I can tell you that what do you mean by high conflicts? So it's yeah.
Is there any conflicts with Australia with other countries in the environmental perspective?
We don't have that much because we live in an island. Australia is an island, continent. We don't have any, but still we have like say Pacific islands, Pacific countries like say Fiji, Samoa. We need to maintain good relation with them. So that's because we share the sea resources, for example, So that's environmental point of view. It's important. We are sending a lot of ships, for example, for goods, with goods. We need to look after the seas. In Australia, this is a lot of regulations are there, very well guarded, but still there are problems also. Not only in Australia, another thing, we produce a lot of minerals, right? And those lands are natural lands. So there are a lot of indigenous people live there, used to live there probably. There are a lot of safeguards, but it still happened, for example, I don't know how many months ago, indigenous people used to live, because in Australia it is 60,000, 70,000 years. And that is documented. It's not necessarily their makeup. There are what they call carbon dating. You can exactly know how long people lived there, and they're rock art. I think I had a fascination for that. Whenever I travel, I see if there are any indigenous rock art. For example, a kangaroo is drawn on the rock, okay, and that is probably, I don't know. They say that it could be 20,000 years old because of carbon dating. They said so. And that's for the indigenous people. That's a sacred place. That's their worship, okay. That's their god, okay. Maybe when someone died, they cremated there, so they want that to be preserved, and every right they have. Sometimes we go for example mining. Actually, mistakenly one of the company they destroyed one of the art like that, and that was huge. They had to compensate. They are in the court, that have to be. There has to be. There will be some accountable. They cannot destroy, and you cannot come in my home and you destroy my home and claim something.
In the reverse cases, there are so many conflicts. So I
What is that? Reverse means that the reverse conflict, or what that mean? Yeah. I mean, these are difficult things, but I think it high conflicts, what they mean in the social context. I knew that one, for example, mainly minerals like say cobalt comes from, I think, world's rivers. So Nodi, you are talking about water, flowing water. That's obviously that's yeah, anywhere there are water is also issue of conflict, we should be the matter of conflict, but I don't know exact what you are referring to or exact situation, but I can give a lot of example with mineral context, like the cobalt, for example. Which country produce cobalt? Do you know? Anyone know? Congo, is that Congo? Congo has got a lot of war also, isn't it? So that's, so those are the things, when you produce any material, it affects the water, land, and etc., and that how we minimize that. That's when they call it high conflict zone. So this is the social hotspot database, what I was talking about. So like say, these are the social hotspot database, all the list of countries, Albania, etc., and all these industries, air transport, animal products, it is quite comprehensive. So this is the Australian one, I picked probably Australian one, but you can have other countries, and this is maintained by those. This database is a little bit old, and I always question that, that's the validity or the currency of the database, but I think they are working on that, trying to maintain it. This is, although I chose US dollar 2002 per semester, you can have US dollar 2015 up to that one, that is a dollar term. Okay. So how it works I will explain probably later, remind me if I do not, but say this I did social LCA for a t-shirt, okay, wearable apparel, it could be t-shirt, it could be something either, maybe jeans, I can't remember. So I am not going to name the country. What I am saying, that developing country 1, developing country 2, mid income country 1, developing country 3, and a developed country. Okay. And then it is for the example purpose. Okay. Then you can see the what that one, these indicator list we talked already, right? You clear those indicator list? They can be having that 5 main indicators. So they converted to 5, and then you get a single score. Okay. So far, are you in the back, everybody with me, following? So let us look at that social impact score, they call it 0 to say, I do not know, whatever number came about. So I plotted them, that because that is the total was 300, that is why they plotted like that. So my understanding, is it, can you tell anyone, is it higher better or lower better? Okay, let us guess. Let us do that one exercise from the back. What do you think there is it higher number better or lower number better compared to? So lower is the better, because the developed country, that is the lowest, okay, higher it is worse, isn't it, that is what it means. Yeah? So this country, this I do not know which country is that, I do not want to name again. So if you make wearable apparel, that is the worst. Okay. That another developing country is okay, next developing country is mid income country is this, and then so that is a total, and then again if I say total is this, and then which one they should look at. For example, I think generally there is a trend. So for example, if we pick what we pick labor rights. So labor rights is still the similar trend, it looks like reflected here, isn't it, more or less. Yeah. So again this is an exercise, and also you see that one, that is one single score where they are coming from, kind of. Okay. So that is how I generated, I think, and then what I was going to say also, that so looks like developing 2, mid income coming down, and the final one developed is that one, and this the developing 3. So it not necessarily you blame that country, say, oh, you are the worst, I do not want your product. It is not the objective of that. Objective is that educate them. Okay, my supplier is this country, I work with them, maybe their problem is the labor rights. Okay, let us work on that one at a time, and then maybe next one, next one, and that way that improves the overall situation. That is the whole objective of social LCA. I think who asked social LCA? Are you getting any? Yes.
Is that means that social impact score representing the social wellness
social vulnerability, kind of. So, even it is discussed that now say isn't there is some, I mean US lot of litigation, people go in the court and put it, because that's their culture apparently. I do not know whether it is true or not, but say I smoke, okay, and I say that it's a tobacco company did not take enough diligence to produce cigarettes, for example. So, that is their fault, okay. It could be like that. So, I am buying lot of goods from a country, I did not do enough diligence that this country is producing lot of problems with this one, and still I am buying it continuously. So, in the future might be somebody will be putting that one in that country, that go in the court and say that, oh, this country government did not follow any protocol, or this company did not follow any protocol, things like that. Increasingly those becoming a bit of, and maybe not now, but who knows what. So, that is why if you buy a lot of goods from certain countries or you are producing it, you need to be aware of that. Does that make sense, kind of? Yeah. So, you buy a lot of computers, where they come from, then maybe someone in Congo, a child labor is picking the cobalt, putting in the laptop, you are using it, you have a bit of role. That is what is all about life cycle assessment. You need to think about where they are coming from, and if you have a role to play, if you do not, something beyond who is going to Congo to see and what to do, we as an individual I cannot do much, but as a collective, maybe as a global citizen, as a global procedure, you may have some say, right. You do not buy that product maybe, or you can if you have alternative in the similar way, you can, things like that. So, that is becoming more in that sort of area. So, again I am a scientist, I am a sort of engineering background, I do not know anything social policy and etc. There is a lot of debatable issues, and I only say in that I go by numbers, I love numbers, that is what I am saying. Is that making sense to you, right? Okay. So, now should I say that one? In this case, that you probably can guess the developing countries and developed countries, right, mid income countries. Anyway, maybe I stop that one, okay. So, anyway, that is a number.
One more question. Can we include in social categories like community acceptance something?
Community acceptance.
Social licensing to operate any, like you are making some T-shirt or some product. So, can we have some categories like that?
Nowadays, there is a green lead, I think LEAD. No, LWD, isn't it? Lead green protocol. Yep, that's right. LWD, that's right. And there are lots of protocols and things like that. So, you need to follow those. Unless in the Western world, you cannot export product unless you have one of those certificates and things like that. Getting a little bit more stricter. I think in Bangladesh, apparently they are the largest number of textile factories have been certified and followed that. For example, they did not have any fire exit maybe. Now they have to have that mandatory. So, things became or move into the right direction and forced to do that, some of the companies, because in I know I come from, if you go to Dhaka, if you know Dhaka obviously, Dhaka to Savar they call it, it is 25-kilometer outskirt of Dhaka. To go there, it is a 25-kilometer, it needs at least 4-5 hours, maybe 3 hours. The reason is that those are the hot spots of the garments factory. When they close or they start, particularly they close I think in the afternoon or whatever time, they have got a staggered time, whole area you say women with the tiffin boxes they are going. So, whole street basically taken up by the workers. So, that area so many factories they have got, and I do not know how much, apparently they used to pay very small amount, the owner has to get a lot of money, because that actual money does not go to the worker themselves. So, now because all these protocols now they have raised the standard of wages and things like that. So, now workers are getting more, even this is good for everyone, good for the country, good for the owner, good for the industry. So, that is happening, and I believe actually that was India anyway, that is my, so some of the things compared to that one. So, a lot to do, okay. So, that is what it is, and that was China obviously, that is mid income country. So, anyway, so so who is, what is in the report, full details and summary of the report, NGOs summary of report where the full report is available on request, if it is who you are doing this for. So, that depending on that what should be in the reports, and that is not only for social LCA, in general LCA very similar. So, is what is that? For example, I am in NIT, I work here, I am working for a department here, that is my internal client. If I work for another NIT or even another company, that is external client. Is that okay? Clear? Yeah. So that is sometimes, although it is a bit of arbitrary definition, and then eco labels, we talk about that, labeling, local communities, sometimes NGOs come, non-governmental organizations. You are familiar with NGOs, right? In some countries they are very active, very good voice, they are lobby groups sometimes, although again I stress another thing, I myself also see that one, there is activism and there is a constructive way of working, okay, and facts based scientific work, two different things. We are not activists. I mean, I do not prefer myself, I do not claim as an activist, I do not want to be an activist. I want to facts base what is real, what is reporting, and based on that what you want to say. So, activism and scientific facts, two different things. Okay. So, we do not, sometimes people exaggerate things, I mean there is no point of doing it, I mean why do you do that one. So, but there are, it is to give it stress, like some of the NGOs I know, but it is a relative matter, and it is personal choices where you stand. But I am sort of, I want facts and figures and see what they say, that is I go by. So, benefits of social LCA, okay, understand the supply chain, that where the Congo is cobalt and etc., your cotton is coming from Egypt or wherever, you do that exercise, and it is really eye opening, is not it? I mean you learn about the whole supply chain, otherwise you unless you do LCA, you are forced to go back to the mine, you are forced to go back to the mine. Risk of not identifying high social risk loaded product by supplier. So, that is what I spoke. Future litigation liability risk, that due diligence was not adopted. So, cases against tobacco companies for smoking, for example. Finally, for any reduction target, you need to understand the landscape, which part of that, it is labor rights, it is health and safety, is it what we should pick first, or because there are so many choices and you always have less resources, you need to optimize or maximize and prioritize, and engage halogen partners to reduce their emissions. Another thing, something you can control that, something beyond your control, then you work with your supplier, you work with other groups, you have a bit of control, maybe you may say them to, okay, do this, do that way improves. Now, one of the thing is that not only social LCA, any LCA, uncertainty, you have got a parameter uncertainty, I think we discussed a bit these kind of things, input uncertainty, you have factor uncertainty, you have got scenario uncertainty, allocation, everything else, model uncertainty, technology, routes, transport distances, types. I told you that one truck is going fully loaded, coming empty, one truck is going loaded, coming loaded, two different scenario, right. So, how granularity in terms of how preciseness you want to go depends, I mean that depend on the study, depend on the budget, depend on the how much precision you require, and then obviously reporting uncertainty, qualitative interpretation particularly, same number people sometimes interpret differently. So, you need to be careful with really what data says, conclude that. Many papers just vague statement finally, oh this can be done, that can be done, what should be done. It is not your job as a scientist, your job to look at the facts and just report that what you are concluding. So, what are the steps? You need to establish a team, obviously team of scientists, team of researchers, team of LC experts, develop data collection format. This is very important steps, because you spend lot of time, data collection format is very important, because and you spend lot of time in the early stage. You collect data, obviously that is once you have the team, money, check data, check again and again, review, revise and recollect data is necessary. Okay. So, that is the kind of iterative process, undertake analysis, report, review, and review not only yourself, get it reviewed by your peers, other experts, and finalize and develop strategies to reduce emissions or reduce the impact, whether social impact, whether emissions, anything like that. So, that is sorry. It is essentially, entities means who are the peers you are talking about, it is essentially another LC expert, because there are lots of LC experts around. So, you need to know them, who are they, can they do that for you. So, because they are not working with for your project, you are doing your project, you ask them, can you please review this for me. Sometimes they do voluntarily, sometimes you have to pay them, because that is a paid work. And how to do it? World Resources Institute, greenhouse gas emission protocol, that is for your environmental LCA, CTAC organizational LCA, SLCA guideline documents, that is, I said, that is the Bible at the moment. Use tools, database, expertise, experience and software resources. Input output model we briefly talked a bit in the morning. Heinz Schandel, I think one of my colleague in CSIRO, University of Sydney, IE lab I told about, and obviously we have some experiences, we do that one. So, it is kind of some of the I guess the resources, and CIMAPRO obviously we are going to do that one. So, that is I think I wanted to mention about social LCA. Do you get a bit of feel for what it is? Because I cannot go too detailed because I am not really an expert in that area. Do you understand kind of at least vaguely, I mean the beginning you understand what this all about? Did you know before, anyone else? This is new completely, right? So, I think this is what I wanted to share about social LCA. So, what do you think in actually say somebody say about when you go, I mean have you got any negative remarks or negative thing about your own country, own nation or anything like that for anyone, and how do you react of that? Have you got anyone? Have you got anyone in any, say you go travel anywhere or somewhere, some people say, or even say within country, your area is not good, how do you react with that? Do you get that actually? Do you get? So, and how do you react? It's a bit emotional, isn't it? If somebody say, oh, you are not doing good, your house is not clean, for example, your roads are not clean, something like that. How do you feel about that? And how do you react? Tell me, because I get this kind of thing from in Australia sometimes, or from Australian colleagues, that oh, your people are not very clean, they are not, your roads are not very clean. How do you react? You should be angry. Should be angry.
I think that's the first reaction.
Angry. Is that the good thing to do? I mean, should we be angry? So, what should we be? We should maybe.
We try to justify it, but then we need to work, I think, more at the ground level and try how to solve this rather than getting angry.
And what are the solutions?
Point out the hierarchy of needs. If people don't have basic needs,
how do they do?
They can't go up there.
So, give some reason, obviously. Okay.
Those countries which are developed now, they also in the same stage somewhere, some point in time.
They had also similar times also, they have gone up now, they are better, bigger, they are developed and they can tell a lot of things. They have less people, obviously I can point out them because I know in Melbourne what is happening, I know their weak points too. So, so but anyway, that's yeah. So, what are the solution actually in India, because we see air pollution, yeah, you name it, I mean everything. Whenever I go out, I see something which is not, because maybe I'm seeing that because people live here, you don't see that. You have been in Japan, right? You say that one. It's a lot of contrasting, isn't it? And it hits your eyes, isn't it? It hits your mind that why are not we like that? We are not like that. I know that lot of constraint, but yeah, I think I don't know. I think what's the solution? But I have no solution, to be honest. I can't offer any solution, but I wish that I had. Any comments? Yeah.
Is at our level that what we can do, then we can start that doing that. So it is like initiation from our end at least. We cannot say that bigger picture should be like this, should be like that, this should be like that in some country, but at least from our perspective what we can initiate from that feedback, or what we can learn from that feedback, or either we can convince them that whether this is emerging from some kind of some smaller steps which they were earlier, or what is the actually logic behind actual situation of some country or some cities like that. Like those kind of initiative we can take at our level based on understanding the feedback we are getting from some other person or some other country like that.
That's right. Yeah. To some extent, that's probably. What are the solutions actually? Is there? Have you thought of anything, or does that come to your mind that we need to find some solutions? Because we can say point out problems, this, that so many problems, isn't it? Problems are there, but how do we go about this? I cannot think about a solution, to be honest. Is that education, or is it people have to be educated? But how do we educate this many people?
Actually, we need to initiate at our own level first. That what we can do.
one person we do, at least in my life I want to do something good. Yeah, yeah, maybe that's right, one person at a time. Yeah, yeah.
Starts at home.
Yeah, so
From home it's like you start and from when you're little.
Yeah.
And like you said, individual. So looking at you, it's like a ripple effect.
That's
so
right.
a person sees you and then they also try to be like that.
And particularly probably educated part of the society has a bit of role in to show and tell people that how to respect, and it's not sometimes, I mean, in Western countries, I mean, what we find, your performance may be not right, but you are not, nobody has a right to disrespect you. Okay, so you call me, you talk to me, you say that you how to improve and etc., but you cannot disrespect me. So that's a respectful relationship, whether that's a student or a big person or something. And you've seen that in Japan, in some countries, in Western countries, that's the value, I think. Fair to everyone, fair on yourself, fair to others. I mean, that's another lesson I think, and they try to. They have got some structure in place, some processes in place. You cannot even you have to be accountable for your actions. So those are things I like. I mean, some of the things, many things I like in the West, obviously, but many things I have seen that they should improve too. I mean, but I think we have got a lot of issues in our end, particularly, and particularly I come from Bangladesh. You know, in Bangladesh there are a lot of if you even religiously, I see a lot of Muslim people. They say, "Oh, we are the best," or Bangladeshi, we are the best, this and that. Where is the indicator? Can you tell me that? Just any indicator you look at and you say that this is my score, and that's why I am the best. You just cannot tell I am the best without substance, isn't it? And people will underestimate even more. They say you are not accepting, and not only that, you are saying I am the best. So I think those are the things we need to think carefully a little bit, and that social LCA has some relevance, I believe. So Professor Jain, if you tell anything today, I think I'm not sure how we are going with time.
So I would like to share something which I received from my father. Okay. My father was born in 1925. He would have been around 100 years if he was alive today.
Sorry, Professor, just sorry interruption. Yeah, yep.
So the kind of wisdom we receive from our forefathers, that's very fascinating sometimes to me and others. I am sure he was an engineer and he was a teacher also, but I doubt that he was aware of LCA or something like this. Okay. He used to ask one question, what is the value of a cup of tea? Anyone who can answer this question? What is the value of a cup of tea?
What do you think?
Just something, whatever comes to your mind.
10 rupee or I don't know, 20 rupee outside.
5 rupees, okay? And how much easy to get it? You say to your
tea
family,
vendor,
to your mother, I need a tea, or you go to a shop, or Chotu, just bring a cup of tea, and he just bring in a moment, or you can get this outside after you finish your session.
But the value of the cup of tea is the tea which you have to produce in different sectors, the hard working of the laborers, whatever the tea is instigating.
Yeah.
I think the value of the tea comes from the people who are being beyond from that.
Okay, okay.
So along with that, it is refreshing our day initially.
Yes.
So it is making our day in some kind of thing.
Yes,
so
yes.
it is not only the previous thing, it is close to that also.
Okay, that's also nice.
Any other thoughts?
Any other thoughts?
The person who is giving maybe also, Professor, isn't it? Or
so he used to talk about think upstream. You must include upstream. If I ask any one of you, you think how the tea is made. What are the ingredients you require? You require tea, you need water, you need milk, you need sugar, you need
the cup or an earthen pot.
Earthen pot in which you take, or you need a pan in which you need fire, you need a stove. So how many, you can make a list of like, okay, and think how many people in the society has contributed to make each thing available to you. So can you think, for just a small cup of a tea of rupees 5 or 10, how many people have actually contributed in? Can you make a list? I give you this an exercise to do, all of you. Just make a list. There is a farmer somewhere in Assam who might have worked, the whole family might have worked on the field to grow that tree. Then it would have been gone to industry where it was dried and packed and then transported to your city. There is a shopman who is selling it. You are getting it. Then you have a pan. So where you get that pan? Someone in Jharkhand must have first taken ore from and you know the conditions there. It must have been processed in the metallurgy industry. Then that pan must have been created and then it comes to you. So you think for each input. So in this 5 rupees you see, you will find perhaps thousands of people have contributed. And because of that, it has become possible in 5 rupees. And if I ask, think of a situation, there is no society. And you alone have to create that tea. Can you in whole life can make that 5 rupees tea? Any one of you?
That's the value.
Can any one of you in the whole life can make that tea? I don't think anyone can make. Because you will have to go to the farm to grow it. You have to have this LPG or some fire to create that. You need to have a pan to get it. Can any one of you do that in your whole life if you spend the whole life in doing that? So you must understand and appreciate what this whole society structure is, where everyone is doing his duty. And that's why it has become possible for us to live in the standard we are living in today. Okay? So you must understand and appreciate it. That's really very important. Like nowadays, for kids in our home, it's just a मम्मी पापा आज खाना अच्छा नहीं बना है, मैं स्विगी से मंगाता हूँ. You order something, pizza, you get in 400, 500, whatever. So for him, the value of that is just few $100, that's all. But every one of them really understand to create that pizza available to you at your home, how many people have really contributed in it? And what is the level of their involvement? Okay, so it's another kind of LCA, like social LCA we are talking about. So it just came to mind to share it with you. It's another perspective to look at the things. Okay, do you really think? So whenever you get anything, you must always think there is a contribution of the whole society that makes it possible. Okay, and in the process, you do certain things which are not good for the environment. Then you have to be aware. So like Professor Haque was asking that what is the solution? So I think the solution is start from the awareness and education. First and foremost thing, we should know. Then only we can go to the next step of solution. So like you are here, you are getting this information and knowledge. We expect that you will spread it further in your organization, institute, colleagues, whatever. Okay? And let everyone know and understand how we as a society is damaging the environment. So let us first that awareness be there. Okay? And that second step in that is each one of us has to take the responsibility to contribute in our own way. Like in a cup of tea, there would be 0.1 paisa contribution from a farmer. If you just try to quantify it, you can distribute that 5 rupee into each contributor. Can you do it? Doing some kind of analysis that you do in LCA, you can just divide it into each individual, and they may a contribution of, say, fraction of a rupee. But in the same way, if we contribute something, we may feel it is a very small, but actually it has a huge impact. So if you keep this example, tea is just an example. You can take any product around you. Okay? Is the idea clear? Okay? So you can contribute, and your contribution values, and that make the whole society and civilization grow and move forward. So each contribution of each person in the society has a huge value. So never ever think, what can I do? It's you what you are doing. It's all individual they are doing. That's making this society. Okay, so that's my message.
Thanks a lot, Professor. Thank you, thank you. That's really good lesson for us, all of us. Yeah, and actually with LCA concept, more you go upstream, and those people who have contributed, I think they are the Bala Devata, isn't it? I see God in them, like the farmer. Or have you anyone gone underground mines ever? I was in Jharkhand, and I've been to many good mines. I mean, best mines, I would say, very well developed infrastructure. I've been some worst mines, and not, I would say, not so good, obviously. In Jharkhand, obviously Jharkhand means Dhanbad. When I came once, I think I told one of the professor, good friend of mine, I said, Professor, I want to see a mine here. He sort of organized that. He didn't go with me, but anyway, so that he organized one of his student, and student was not there. I think I was introduced with one of the gentlemen, and he's a kind of technician probably. So he went to the shaft. Anyone goes in Dhanbad, there are lots of mines. It's the coal mining capital of India, isn't it? Dhanbad, you know, all know, right? Have anyone been to Dhanbad here? Yeah, okay. So what's your feel about Dhanbad? Gold mine. Coal mine, okay. So coal mine.
It was very sweaty. When we go inside deep, as if it's very dark and you get those dots.
Torches, yeah, everything, yeah.
And the whole place was very sweaty, and they stay there for the whole day.
Right.
And come out in the evening.
Yeah.
So it was very.
Yeah.
The conditions were not very good.
Yeah. So I was introduced with a young man, I think maybe 20-year-old. And I don't understand Hindi that much. Even that time, even I was now at least after coming in so many times in India, I get few words. But that time, even my worse. And I didn't know anything, and I was very excited, young researcher, academic that time. I'm talking about at least 12 years ago. So I got a chance. I want to see the mine. I went with him, and the shaft, you know, the mining shaft. It takes you, and then walk through the tunnel. So I don't know how long I walked. And I was supposed to be back inside, you know, a lot of mosquitoes, people are working so harsh condition, as you said, that so that they are working there. I saw every one of them. I was really pleased to see, well, I was grateful to see them, but I couldn't express myself because I don't know language, obviously. And I was coming back after 1 hour or something, and I was supposed to be back, and they said that the lift is or the shaft is not working, so you have to stay 3-4 hours underground. I was really nervous that how could I stay this long with this many mosquitoes and etc. And then I thought about those men that they are working day and night there, and I had a bit of chat, how much you earn, probably they said 20,000 crore or something like that per month that time. And that time maybe outside salary is very small. They obviously that's why they work hard and get a little bit more paid than our external people. But those people are working there, and that's why the lights are on. That's why the people are working here. That's why the economy is going. So you see that importance of those kind of ordinary very simple people, hard working people. So, it is not necessarily that, I mean, that coal is different thing now, but that's giving us lights, that's giving us, you know, we cannot live without that, our phones, anything, you cannot live without electricity, isn't it. So sometimes I feel, and then emotions, I mean, what Professor said that one, say Assam or Darjeeling or I do not know, in Sri Lanka, people are working there, they're people, they have got sons, daughters, their family. If you think about that emotional side, it is another dimension. So, it is not 5 rupees you pay and get a cup of tea, it is those emotions, whoever is giving that service, that the emotion, isn't it. So, that is why I say I see God in them. So, anyway, I think that is enough discussion. Anyone wants to make a comment or anything like that, otherwise we will go something else. Yep. So, actually that the database is kind of reference point. So, it is related with the economic development a bit, because those countries have got, you know, better economy, more resources, they have usually social score is higher or lower, I would say good social profile. Those countries are developing like India or other countries like developing, less resources, more people, obviously those, but it is not necessarily a product is made in a country, you have to do LCA on product, and how to do it maybe I can discuss a little bit more. So, basically say a computer, okay. So, I did, because I did a profile for computer too. Say computer takes a lot of parts, you know, what they call that printed circuit boards, which has got copper and this and that. A computer cost, how much is that? I don't know, $2,000, say you say $2,000, various elements, each has got a price, obviously a resistor or whatever element of the computer, the batteries, etc., it has got a price, right, you pay, and that makes up $2,000. Now, where they are coming from? So, in that database what you do, a computer, you are doing social LCA power, you put $2,000 and then you put then you put PCBs or whatever the elements, like the LCA we do, you know, that you do the model and you put the value and the country name, and then you generate the profile of one. That one way to do that, computer 1, computer 2, laptop, or whatever way, the product 1, product 2, product 3, that way you generate the number and you compare. Does that make sense to you now? That is the question you are asking, right, kind of, or. So, either product 1, product 2, product 3, that way, or you can compare a product is produced in one country, another country, another country, like I showed. Okay. So, yes, you asked social LCA, you had an interest. Is there any reason you wanted to know more about? In general, social LCA had a bit of interest. Okay. So, now what is the question? Yes, yes, yeah. So, it is a database has got US dollar, that is I used for some reason 2002, because it is a particular project probably, but you can have any other currencies also. Okay. So, rupee, you can probably choose rupee in a particular year. So, anyone else has got more interest with LCA as a social LCA? Otherwise, you got a flavor, I guess, right? You think you got at least some understanding. So, if we think that it is enough, then maybe we can move into the first. Let us try your computers, you open it, you run the CIMAPRO, or at least open the CIMAPRO, let us see if that works, and let us try generate a one structure, first one, go to the PDF document, say what it says and do it, and let us see whether you can do it. Okay. So, and then that will do until probably 1 o'clock today that is we are finishing, right, is that, yeah. So, 1 o'clock we will finish like yesterday. So, 1 and 1:30, if everyone can start your CIMAPRO software, try it if that works. Everybody has got a laptop, right, their own. By the way, should we, I just wanted to show you that one you have got, right. Everyone has a read or look at that introduction to LC with CIMA Pro, and basically we have covered all of these, right, to some extent, isn't it? Can anyone comment that you have read it, or how did you find it, this document? Have you seen this document? Has anyone seen this document or not? Put your hands up if you have not seen it. No? Okay. So, if you go to your I think your folder, I do not know where is that, see that software, okay, got one, solution is done. So, that okay. So, introduction to LCA with CIMA Pro, we did introduction, these are the things we have already talked about to the last 3 days. Goal and scope, inventory, impact assessment, interpretation, managing your life cycle, etc. I don't want, I am not going there, okay, using CIMA Pro, etc. If this document you go through and then there is a glossary, I think ma'am you told that, right, you see that one allocation, this one, that's one, okay, all right, have a browse through yourself, I do not want to go there, I want to go here. Everybody has got this document, I believe, PDF. Who has not got it? Hands up, put your hands up if you have not got it. Okay, everyone got it. Now, you see intro, purpose of this tutorial, lesson 1, general information using the guided tool, forget about that. I want to start here, so which is lesson, so that is why I am saying maybe page 14, I think I did page, can you remember what page I told? If I did, my brain is working very well. I can remember, but otherwise I do not know how long ago I did it, but it is 14, that is good, looks like. So, lesson 2A, entering production processes, what you will learn, get hands on experience with CIMA Pro by entering simple data and building a simple process network that describes the production of planks from a tree. Okay, what do you need? You should be doing lesson 1 first, but forget about that because I am here, I am happy to help you. I want to start here. Okay. Introduction to CIMA Pro, chapters 2 and 3 are essential reading material if you wish to understand background issues like allocation, system boundary setting, tutorial with wood example, that is the project we will be opening, and it should take 45 to 60 minutes. I am not taking the whole time here, we will do one and forget about their timing. You will do one after another next whole week, I mean particularly the next rest of the time for the course allocated, and I know you know that one, I want that Word document, okay, that is why you are here. So, now first let us look at that preparation for data entry. So, entering that one, that is the one, let us start entering process, felling the tree if we can do it. So, today before lunch we want to finish it and that is it, but today I want to show you, you all can do it, I want to see kind of. So, let us do that and let us try that. So, you read one after another entering the process and go up to, I would like to say, yeah, up to probably this page, page 21, okay, or maybe page, yeah. So, you need to write your name, entering process, that is done, we will go. So, and then up to basically page 22. So, 7 pages we will complete today, and I want you to go up to page 61 I told, I think, hopefully I am right this time too. If not, that is a bit of 61, where is that one? So, we are starting at 14 and we are finishing at 64 maybe, I do not know. What is 61? Why did I say 61? 62, or page 60 actually, up to page 60 is good enough even. So, you do not need to go to 7. So, up to this level you want to do, I want you to do, okay. You understand what I am saying? Up to page 60 you do it. So, like these sort of models you can generate, take a screenshot, put in the Word document, but let us try go to page 14 again and do that fast data entry, felling the tree, that is the one, felling the tree, that is the one process 1 we want to do. Has anyone done it or not before or not? If not, then let us try it now. So, how you are going? running, starting, how you are going or looking at the document. That's good. Okay, forget about guided tour, you go to the process, okay, and do that, go to the PDF document. Keep the PDF document handy also, a little bit tricky because you have to put, yeah, maybe go to and fro you can do, you can put on, or you can see on the mobile and you can do that on that one. It does not matter, I think, use the analyst, maybe put that one. As long as you can run the software, that is good enough. Use analyst, faculty, but does not matter. So, I think analyst probably put that one. What is that saying? Just ignore that maybe, or do that one. As long as it is open, open the wood project tutorial with wood example. Once if you fire up the software, you go to the file, open project, and then you see tutorial with wood example. Open project tutorial with wood example. Can you see everyone? Or some people are going behind, some people are going fast, that is all good, no problem, you take your time, just do not rush. Oh, I see, you had, I see, okay. Yeah, I see. Okay, that's right. You have a bit of because I am not really good, because I know one student cracked some way to do that, but a lot of mucking around. So, so in any case, if you have a Mac, maybe you can try other ways, or at least see. Maybe you can see other ones how they are doing. Yeah, just share with someone, sit with someone. Open project tutorial with wood example. Open, just pick that tutorial with wood example and open it. No new project, okay. The project is tutorial with wood example. Going okay, so you know that one anyway, isn't it? Yeah, that's good. If you find problem, those ask us also, or maybe work together with your just ask beside you person, you work together also, 1 or 2 person you can do work together, not necessarily you have to work yourself. Remember, you have to take the screenshot. Once you develop the model, take a screenshot and put in your document, please, otherwise it won't be, you will not be getting it. So, you see, you will get a window like this, right? Everyone got a window like this. So, if you go to process material, so open that processes, you go to the process on your left, you know, processes, everyone can be with me, and then materials, and then within the materials there is wood, okay. You go there, click that wood, and then click here new, and then you see the documentation tab, fill out this documentation tab following your PDF document. So, you 2 documents you need to fulfill, you know, generator, this is you need to put your name, you understand that. Process type, you need to put unit process, process name, what is the process name? File tree, right? and then so once you follow that other one, follow exactly, you can put an image. I am not going there anyway. Generator, that is your name, but here name is the fail tree, the first name is the fail tree, but generator is your name, and that is what I want. You take the screenshot after filling out like this. You see, the name is the fail tree. Process is, you have got two menus, unit process, system process, and you pick unit process. Infrastructure, put no as it is, put everything as it is, or you pick whatever, put an image, comment, collection method, etc., etc. Go to this document PDF and just copy and paste. Only thing you put your generator name, and that is it, and then go to the input output tab. So, take the screenshot once you finish that, and then go to input output tab, and then put those numbers from those your PDF document. And what does PDF document says? So, you can go here, you see wood, click new, and then you can say fail tree, the input output document, and fail tree you see 1 ton, mass 100, allocation, etc. Do not rush, you just take a step, take time, you do not have to finish today, it is just to show you how to do it, I am just showing you. Yeah, you can write something like that, yeah, or you just copy and paste whatever in the PDF document, yeah. Some of the things are not that important, it's main one is your generator name, input data, those are things you must have to do it, otherwise model will be broken and it won't work. Yeah, just once first lot that first sheet you complete, take a screenshot and put in Word document and save that Word document, so that because you will be building up one of the screenshot at another, because I will be checking that end of this course. If you do not feel confident now, even you can do a bit, look at the reading material, and then you go, when you go home, then you can do it yourself. So, you do not finish it now, it just a start, I just wanted to feel for that how you go about this. Yep. Generator name, your name. No, that generator in the bottom, sorry, that one you write your name, yeah, yeah. That is it, nothing else. And also few other things you can fill out using that your PDF document, whatever it is there, I just copy and paste and take the screenshot of that, put it in Word document, okay. So, that is the fast in screenshot, okay, I will be looking for with your name. Actually, I am going opposite direction, because fast screenshot is this one, they have done this one. So, this is the fast screenshot, that is so mil probably, or maybe that is for you anyway, forget about that, does not matter, but I want that screenshot that with that document. And then next one is this screenshot, this take this screenshot and then that screenshot, one after another you have to develop the document. So, Dr. Akshoy, how we are going with time? So maybe 1 o'clock we can finish today, do you think? So, 1 o'clock we can close it and they can go and do themselves, and tomorrow I will check how we have done it. Tomorrow let Salini talk, and so I think online you can do yourself whatever we have done today, you continue to do that. let's see how much you can do in the next 15 minutes. Going to reproduce exact number they will be generating. Our number will be different. We want to know the structure and methodology. So choose whatever you get. Okay. As long as you choose rightly, should be fine. But one of them, because when you generate the result, it might do not make problem. That's the thing. Oh, sorry, one line there. Sorry. Okay. So hope online those people are going okay. So you just do, yeah, that as the instruction says, we are practicing the software. You should have the exe file CIMA Pro. You download, install, open that tutorial with wood example, and then also you follow the instruction in PDF tutorial with CIMA Pro, and that's what we are doing here. Yep. Yes, every new document, that's one it is completed, that take that screenshot. Yeah, but try to do that one. Maybe you can do 2-3 screenshot to cover the whole thing. Yeah. Yep. So you do that screenshot. You have taken that one.
This one I have taken.
That one is good. Your name. No, your not verification. That's the generator. You put your name, and then the generator. No, sorry. The so remember everyone that the documentation sheet generator, that's your name. Put your name. That just copy and paste from that PDF document, whatever there is. Okay. So generator, your name, and then take the screenshot, because that's the only way I know you have done it. And that's very important. That's the one very important. Wherever there is a name generator, you put your name and take the screenshot. So in the documentation tab, remember generator is your name, and then take a screenshot. Also, I understand you are staying in the same place, so if you need to help each other, please do that. Yeah. Chain sewing, there is should be one. How did you, can anyone show how did the getting chain sewing? So you go to the processing, you go to the processing, go to it, go up, sorry, reduce small this one, the material, and then processing, and now you see follow that wood again, and now is the chain sewing. Yeah, got it? Yep.
This process where we have completed this wood waste. Okay.
How do you get one?
They are saying to click on the network button. I am not getting. I have mentioned the data 250 kg as they have asked for 250 kg of wood as a wood.
You have done all these done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
once you complete all the process, you can save it. Is that said? Did it say save it?
It is not mentioned somewhere. They are directly saying now we have entered the data. Click on the network button.
For network button is if you go there, you see that network button. Calculate here. Calculate. So network button. Do not. So when you know say file, calculate tools, calculate. Okay. Network. Try network. Do not do tree. Tree doesn't work. I think you can try network.
Can I try?
Yeah, you can. I think. Let's see if that works. Then calculate. Then go further here. It's a calculate. Let us see what comes. Wait. So, once you go to the calculate button, choose network, not tree. Okay, remember tree does not work maybe. So, then network, it did come anything. Just okay. Wait there. Let it stay probably, because it sometimes makes caches. We have to make sure if it doesn't. So it will be, and then when you say network, you click network, and then go to the calculate button. Bottom, you just scroll down and calculate and click calculate, and then it will start processing, and it will take a bit of time the first time. Second time onwards it will take less time. So first time takes a bit of time. Wait with patience. Then once it is done, hopefully you will be able to see the network, and then you go back what it says back, and take that, even the network, when it shows network, take the screenshot and put in the Word document. Most of the, if you are unsure, take the screenshot. Oh, it says it does not work. Can you go back?
How exactly?
X, yeah, exe. Okay, do not do that network button, looks like. So yes, no, okay, maybe close that one. So what is that? Network didn't work. Maybe you did everything what it says.
Yeah, up to this level I have completed.
Can I go back? Have a look. Maybe network, once you do one saving, later you do network. Okay, network, do not worry about. Ignore that message. Probably network. So what is that? It's happening. It's network. Can you go back? Calculate. Network. Not tree. Network.
Again.
Yep. Let's see what comes. You see there is a method, you choose method. Can you click that one, method? Choose that ACP endpoint H, that is okay. Select. So I see that there is no name. Why there is no name?
Where?
That is calculation method. Just let me see.
Here the question mark is coming. It might be the error.
Yeah, there is no product. So that means you. What you have to do, can you go back? Go back, escape again, that go to the documentation sheet. Wait, that do not do anything. So if you go far up further, so that's a failed tree, okay, failed tree you modeled it. So it's 0 kilogram. So
here it is 1.
The top one, delete the top one. Okay, now try it.
Now it came.
So now you do that calculation. Now it is going faster. So wood waste you need to put that, go to the PDF document, how much wood waste it is referring to. How much wood waste, can anyone tell? 250 kilogram, ma'am. Just hold on, probably let us see if that works okay this time, because database is going bigger, and depending on the computer speed sometimes it takes longer, but generally the calculation slowly it becomes faster, because it is loads the database this, and if it is unit system sometimes it takes longer time a bit, but it will calculate eventually. So which organization you are from?
I am from PDP, Gandhinagar, Gujarat, but within that petroleum university.
Petroleum?
Yeah.
Specifically petroleum?
The name is, earlier it was established only for petroleum, then later on other branches has been started.
Okay, so what's your undergraduate degree? Mechanical. And you are teaching now?
Yeah.
So and what you are teaching?
Mechanical subjects.
Mechanical subject for petroleum engineers?
No,
not
branches has been
established. I see. Mechanical Department of Mechanical Engineering in Petroleum University.
Right.
I see.
Now they have changed the name, the Energy University, but it is popular with old name, but it is petroleum.
And that's still they say call it that name is very few, and yeah, that's because all fossil fuel people are probably inclined with fossil fuel and everything else, right? There's in the hardcore old colleagues, they are coal, still that motivation is there, and coal and oil. That's true. I was there in that camp, but I sort of changed my camp, not anymore. But anyway, I think coal has a role to play. It's not necessarily, we cannot deny that fact, isn't it? In the next even 40, I think 20, 30, 40 years, it's hard to say. you know that if you look at the projections, coal may be static because energy demand is growing, and that may come from renewables others, but coal's role will be because that's very easy to get, cheap carbon. Coal had no problem. Coal has problem with the CO2, and if you can manage CO2, doesn't matter whether coal or carbon, isn't it? So, it's taking a little bit longer. Maybe it is doing properly now. That's why. Hopefully, that will generate something. Let's see. Just curious to see. So, how many students you have got? You are teaching how many students?
In my department, it's an intake of 120.
I see. Okay. So, yeah, so once you calculate, it will take a bit of time, wait patiently, and it will eventually come, hopefully will generate the something, let us see, and that is interesting to see what it generates. Now, it says not all product, does not matter, you say okay, okay, see, that is right. And remember, there is a process cutoff. So, remember there is a put a small number or some number, do not put 0. If you put 0, it will be, you cannot see anything. It is like, Tokyo subway, I told you, you get lost. Yeah, I got lost in Japan also. How you are going, everyone? Feeling comfortable? See, that is the one. Take the screenshot and put in Word document. Yep. How you are going?
I entered the data very wood based.
Yep.
Now, the next step is to go to this network and tree move. How do I?
No, you have to fill those ones first. The documentation tab. Fill all these from taking. No, even these ones you take from whatever PDF says.
Okay.
And then input. You have done all done, and then you go to the calculate, the calculation button, okay. And then you see the network. Yeah, you click, and then you make sure that it is done properly, otherwise it will not generate anything. Okay, and then take the screenshot and save it. Okay, so follow the instruction anyway. So, are you feeling comfortable running it, doing it? Anyone has any big problem? Save. So, file and save, but do not, as I said, save has a limitation, make sure you do it rightly, and when the PDF says that save it that time. Okay. There is no save button. No, you have to, you cannot save this one, you have to save the, so now escape button, you have taken, you have to take an screenshot. Now, that one what you did, you save that one. Yeah, if it is go, you start again new. Maybe you have you saved, you have not saved it, or you can do it. So you can say F4. Sometimes F4 moves between windows. So you can do F4. I don't know, function button. See that is there already. Now, if not, you have to recreate the same thing what you have done. Just do it and save it. Now you know well. This is the purpose, is to know, to tell you how to do it. Okay. So maybe you need to do it again. Okay, so because you not already escape button, maybe you pressed it and then that's gone to the main screen. It's a bit of an annoying thing, but because you have got a saving limitation, make sure you use the saving times appropriately. Okay. So now I think maybe anyone has got big problem or something you are feeling. This is the that to check you run the software, you know how to do it. You feel that you can do it, you go home, you do it yourself. Okay, the first one and one after another, but I want to see that screenshot one after another. Okay, so that's true. If any problem tomorrow we can discuss, otherwise you continue behind the scene in the background. Okay, you understand? Yes. Yep.
When input output, it is not similar to this what it is given there. Options like this.
So output, you have to put output file tree, isn't it? And then you have to put that number.
Okay.
Okay, so you follow that one, isn't it? It's the next step probably.
Yeah,
so you should write file tree, choose the unit, put the unit there, okay. Number, and then you try to generate the calculate and generate the tree, the network structure. Okay, yeah. If you missed this one or lost this one, what you have done, if you have not saved it, doesn't matter, you recreate another one. At least you know how to generate a new tree, how to generate a failed tree. Okay, that's the just to purpose today is to show you, or you can do it yourself. Yeah? Doesn't matter, value doesn't matter. Yeah, it's okay. Yeah. As long as you have done that properly. So if you change that single score, click that one, and then characterization put, and then put global environment, select, put select. So you see that will show that the CO2 now. That's what you are after, right? It's a single score. So Dr. Akshoy, if you are free, we can say them. So wherever, yep, yeah. Can you click that? Okay. What did you do?
I just installed it, like yesterday I installed it.
Have you done any processes? You can see any processes, right? No, you cannot see anything.
Yeah, I can see the problem.
I see. Okay. Yeah. Now you generate. Go to the wood. Create new.
But it's not coming.
So new. Yep. Create new.
It's not coming. And that error is. I did it before I uninstalled it.
I see. Maybe it's not working properly for you. Then in that case, you have to.
So we'll visit.
You have to uninstall completely and try again. Okay.
To accommodate that
So because seems like it's not working due to some reason.
schedule,
if everyone's working, it should be your one too. But maybe some reason. Okay.
Our days
Let's see.
early. So I have already requested EDC, and EDC will make the breakfast available for all of you at 8 a.m. sharp. Okay. All the registered participants, please take breakfast there. And from the organizers, we have also arranged lunch at EDC for all of you. So at 12 noon. So after taking breakfast at 8, the first session for tomorrow will commence at 8:30 a.m. tomorrow, and session will end with a tea break in between, short tea break in between. The session will end at 11:45 a.m. tomorrow, and we'll take lunch here. All the participants will take lunch here at 12 noon. The lunch will be sponsored by organizers. So after taking lunch, the bus will leave here from EDC at 12:30 p.m. We'll reach around 1 p.m. and then we'll have a visit over there around 3 hours, and we'll come back by evening. So this is the plan, and apart from that, I have already circulated a format. The format is very simple. I have just told you to categorize your write-up into few segments, but if you feel some more segments are important, so you please include it. There is no instructions related to figures, etc., but the figure must be, you see, very lucid and legible. So whatever figures, block diagram, charts, table, that should be lucid, legible. So you start writing and decide a topic, decide a title, tentative title, and share that tentative title with us. Tomorrow, 2 of our students will present their case studies. They have done these case studies in different areas. You'll have a glimpses with a mentorship of Dr. Nawshad. So you will see it, and we will have further discussion. So rest of the 2 days, we need to maximize our learning and output. So probably the course is going fine, but we see that we have to devote extra time on the last day, that is on 30th. So be prepared that on 30th we will have the sessions, more tutorial sessions, less your theoretical input, in both pre-lunch and post-lunch. So be prepared to work hard or day after tomorrow, okay? Because on Saturday there will be no class, only evaluation, and you will be given an idea of what will be the type of evaluation. It is just MCQ type based on your lecture notes. Okay. So if you have any query related to your stay and all the other things like your bills, etc. Food bills you will directly get from EDC, there is no problem. For stay bills, those who are staying along with the participants, other participants, so their bill needs to be bifurcated. And what we have done, because our EDC is giving bill for room basis. If one person stays in a room, so there is no problem, but two persons stays in a room, so they are not going to bifurcate bills. So we will be going to bifurcate bills and give bills on our format, and for that we will collect money from you and deposit it to EDC. So our volunteers will prepare a tentative bill, billing amount. It will be shown to you. If you have any remarks, you please incorporate it, and then the final amount will be taken on Friday. So Friday we have to work a lot. So anything related to your course, you need to be settled by Friday, because Saturday many of the participants are leaving on Saturday itself, and immediately after the lunch. So we need not keep anything pending for Saturday. So if you have anything, Professor Jain?
So I think Dr. Akshoy, we discussed before. I think tomorrow is the planned visit. Do they have any safety instruction? Closed shoes? I don't know. I think it's is there any from the plant?
Yes,
so closed shoes and long sleeves maybe, or
yes.
comfortable dress, I guess.
Chappals and shoes. Obviously, it is a winter season, so everybody is wearing shoes. And if safety helmets, etc., so they will be provided. Actually, whenever you visit a plant, so they usually brief a safety procedure for about 5 to 10 minutes, and whatever safety gears, but obviously they will not be providing shoes. So you have to wear it by our.
So yeah, but my other
or some jackets are there, so it's like highlighted jackets. So
and
that they will be provided.
And tomorrow will be big group, so just in case be aware of your safety
and kind of excursion also.
So and I think you don't have
rural part of Allahabad in this part of Uttar Pradesh, eastern part of Uttar Pradesh. I believe the weather will cooperate with us.
And I think for this exercise now you can take it with yourself and continue behind. Any issues, let me know. Keep taking screenshots and putting in the Word document. So if you have any problem, we'll discuss tomorrow first thing, and we'll every day I'll discuss if there are any issues, but continue to complete the exercise. Okay.
I got a request from few participants. I have already instructed our volunteer. So why don't you circulate a few pages among our participants, and if any specific questions is there for the participants, maybe related to manuscript, so you please write down. You write your name and you write down the specific questions. There, all these questions will be shown to Dr. Nawshad, and based on that, Dr. Nawshad may address you. For some questions which are common in nature, he will address. For some specific question, he may address beyond the session.
Yep, so that's fine. Also that one, we can have a Q&A session finally.
You keep on posting questions in our WhatsApp group. So our volunteers will compile it and
give it to me, and then
our foreign expert by tonight. So that is a good thing. If you have any specific questions related to your MTech PhD projects or related to
Shalini, do you have a USB drive to give this lecture? Can I get? So anyone, before we break today, anyone has got any final question or thoughts or any suggestion, anything like that? Do you have any? I think my one is that's working. Otherwise, yeah, continue to do that one, this exercise, and we'll be reviewing tomorrow anyway with how you are going with the tutorial. Okay. Thank you. Thanks a lot for your time and attention, and thanks a lot and for your. And I said, do not rush. Have patiently, slowly get through the exercise and finish the tutorial until the end of the course. Thank you once again. Yeah. Escape.